Hello, everyone. Give me 1 second. I wanted to try something. I wanted to try something here. Let's see if it works. Will it work? Probably not. Okay. It may have, but I'm not 100% sure. But let me get going here. I just wanted to talk a little about art, and in particular, Ayn Rand's definition of art, her thoughts on art, and then we can jump off there if anyone's here. Hey, cigar gangster, how's it going, man? I want to talk about some thoughts Ayn Rand had about art. I reject the whole idea that all art is subjective. That's bullshit. Um, it's bullshit. There has to be some standards. Hey, art, how's it going? We're talking about art today. Art. Talking about art. Talking about subjective standards. Hello, Peanut Gallery. Just want to talk about art today, and again, I want to go through some thoughts that Ayn Rand had on art, mainly from her The Romantic Manifesto, which I read and reread over the years. Trevor, Trevor. How's it going, man? Missed you the last few streams. So yeah, I just want to talk about it because I always push back against the idea that art is subjective. That's bullshit. You know, if that's a case, then it's just someone who throws up on a canvas and someone who spends hours doing a beautiful thing. It's the same. It's just that's your preference, right? That one or this one. A piece of shit car, a jalopy, or an extraordinary car. It's subjective. I like that one better. That's it. Yep, absolutely, Trevor. Art is only subjective if one has no standards, 100%. And again, I mean, people are always willing to argue that, but usually those who say that don't put in the effort. Those who say that don't want to be judged. That's really what it comes down to. Artists, in particular, who say that they don't want to be judged by any standards. That's part of how they play the game. It's like art is subjective, therefore you won't rip me, right? Right? No, you have to have some certain standards. You have to match them. You have to meet them. And then, of course, then it's a matter of taste at that point. Once you have reached the standards, once you have, in terms of comic book art, anatomy, perspective, everything, right? Faces, backgrounds. Once you do that, and then you go forward, and then you can say, okay, well, I prefer that artist over this artist, meaning they're both artists. They're not just hacks who didn't do shit. So let's just start. Let's go for it, Art. I like to take subjective stance to play devil's advocate. I can't stand people who actually think you can't judge quality, period. Postmodern horse crap. Absolutely, man. That's the thing, it's like you get a great actor and you get a shit actor. It's like, well, I prefer that guy. I prefer Vin Diesel to Daniel Day-Lewis. Come on. It's actor, right? Same thing. It's like, no, they're different universes. And we ought to be able to fight that. Because again, these battles that I want to fight, personally speaking, they're lifetime battles. They're never ending. It's like the battle for free speech. It never ends. It's not like, okay, we got it. We're good. No, I know the way mankind is. I know the way history has been. I know that you got to fight for it for the rest of your life. And next generation, or else it does collapse. So these battles, I think, got to be fought. The standards of art have to be understood, have to be upheld by artists. So let's go here, and then let's just start this conversation. You guys want to chime in on what Rand says and agree, disagree? We'll go at it, Art is a selective recreation of reality according to an artist's metaphysical value judgments. Man's profound need of art lies in the fact that his cognitive faculty is conceptual, that he acquires knowledge by means of abstractions, and needs the power to bring his widest metaphysical abstractions into his immediate perceptual awareness. Art fulfills this need by means of a selective recreation. It concretizes man's fundamental view of himself and of existence. It tells man, in effect, which aspects of his experience are to be regarded as essential, significant, important. In this sense, art teaches man how to use his consciousness. It conditions or stylizes man's consciousness by conveying to him a certain way of looking at existence. Um, let's go on now. Keep in mind, this is a philosopher speaking about art and an artist. People tend to overlook that aspect of Ayn Rand. She was an artist through and through. To me, she was such a serious artist that when she was writing The Fountainhead, she wanted to write the ideal man. And instead of just diving in, she goes, you know what? I want to find out what constitutes an ideal man. So she studied philosophy. She came up a philosopher. She became a philosopher in order to, basically come to the conclusion of what an ideal man constitutes. What constitutes an ideal man in a serious way, not just some, again, a subjective way. Just throw it out there. Okay, I want a tall guy, and from her perspective, and this and that. No, that's not the way it goes. What makes him the ideal man? And she studied philosophy and came to the conclusion that that she did, and created how it work in the Fountainhead. I'm going to go through each of these parts, guys, and go back and forth, with you guys. One second. We read that part. Now we can read this. Art and cognition. Trevor says that if it has to be explained to me, it isn't in the piece, and therefore it is poorly executed. Absolutely. It's like when people say, no, you didn't get it. It's like, no, I got it. You didn't do your job as an artist. That's what I got, mainly, because if you have to over explain it, and again, some art is a little deeper and richer than others, so it might take a little more time to come to what it actually means. The best art, you can always find deeper meanings. Every time you reread Ayn Rand's work, every time I reread Ayn Rand's work, I always find something new. And it's not that it's something that is created new, it's the fact that I can see it now. I discover it now. I have a different mindset now, a more mature mind, and so on. And being an artist, that also helps. Art says, Vin Diesel truly understands the actual nature of acting. It's all about family. That's right. It's all about family. It's all about family. It's like, they're again, they are actors, right? Vin Diesel, Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, they're actors, right? You like one over the other. There's no reason why. You just prefer him over the other. It's bad. I mean, it's really bad. Arnold Schwarzenegger or Daniel Day-Lewis, Gary Oldman or Jean-Claude Van Damme. They're both actors. Hey, comic books and Coots. How's it going, man? Boss teach us something brilliant and poignant. Well, through Ayn Rand, yeah, I definitely will. If you haven't read the Romantic Manifesto, I read that. Probably out of her nonfiction books, I reread this more than anything. Why? Because I'm an artist. And I appreciate when a philosopher takes on the task of trying to, make sense of art and give us her ideas on art and how serious she took it, and how serious artists should take that. It's a responsibility. It is. It's not just a lot of people wing it. A lot of people just throw their shit out there. And it's interesting also, guys, in terms of comic book art. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I mentioned it to someone recently. It's a really tough thing to do. You have to do so many things. You have to be a storyteller. You have to be a draftsman. You have to understand, so many things, perspective and the human anatomy and the human face and emotions and all that. And that's why I think you don't have these fruity artists, meaning ones who just throw shit at the canvas and they say, I'm an artiste, You don't have those in comic books. Comic books, you have a very hard workers. I mean, really do. You cannot fake it as a comic book artist. You can fake it as a painter, sometimes music, but music is a little more, you need a lot more skill. But in terms of, comic book art, you have to be good. You have to be able to understand so many things and try to pull off telling a story and engage the reader emotionally with these static images. It's a responsibility. It really is, and it's not for those who want to be seen as artistes. It's not. It's a serious thing. It's writing and drawing and penciling and lettering and coloring and all of these things combined. And again, to understand depth and to understand the human face and what it can convey to the reader emotionally, you have to be an actor also. I remember taking the course Robert McKee, the great teacher Robert McKee. To hell with the critics, fuck him. He was a great teacher, and I learned a lot from him. And again, he had this 3-day course, very, very, very intense course, and everything that he said to you, all the abstractions that he discussed about storytelling became concretized to your particular story. Because you understood, if he talks about the hero, you know about your hero, Killian Duke. If he talks about the villain, Super Jihad, the Salam Duke, you know everything that he spoke about gets funneled into that. And why did I mention McKee? Okay, acting. He actually said he was an actor. Actually, when he was young, a young New York actor. At a time in the 50s where James Dean was there, and also he had a friend. I forgot his name. Mark Rydell. He directed a Mel Gibson movie, A River Runs Through It, I believe. He also directed a James Dean movie starring James Franco, 2001, a TNT movie, biopic, or biopic as some say. He said writers should know acting to some extent. And he's right. You want to understand, what actors go through, how to convey emotion, how to through the characters also. I act out, my characters. I act them out. I, recite their dialogue. If it sounds right to my ear, I keep it. It's all about immersing yourself completely as much as you can. And again, this whole thing, it's like, you have a guy like, what was his name, guys? The artist in the 50s who swiped panels from these great comic book artists, right? And he made a killing by swiping these artists. It's unfair. It's unjust. He took these panels of these, really incredible drawings, and that was just one in hundreds of panels that artist drew in either a comic or graphic novel. He swiped one and made, it's not good. It's really, really bad. Let me read a few more, guys. Trevor says, I believe there can be a place for high art and low art. Absolutely. Entertainment versus high concept. I can enjoy a burger and still enjoy a fine steak. 100%. 100%, Trevor. I can enjoy a good superhero movie and then the Shawshank Redemption, and say that's a good movie. That's a great movie. And sometimes even that can reach heights, even, the super movies, they can reach heights. But yeah, it's or even a fun movie, just a fun movie. It doesn't mean it's like you have to have this highfalutin attitude about all things. Like, no, only the best. Yes, the best will remain the best. The Godfathers, the Shawshank Redemptions. I just saw that again the other day. By the way, the Shawshank Redemption. It's great. It truly is a great piece of art, a great work of art, top to bottom. Every aspect of that movie, brilliantly told, brilliantly executed, and just that finale. I mean, I think McKee said something along the lines of the last 20 minutes of a movie is your movie. And you better pull it off. And he's right. If you don't have a great ending, that's what you're left with. You leave the theater like, ugh. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a happy ending either. But as long as it's a truthful, honest, real ending to the nature of the characters also. Bad guys shouldn't get away with it. I like the attitude that, excuse me, that Quentin Tarantino has. He wants to make the evil pay in his movies. No matter whatever they do, however fun a ride they have, quote unquote, they pay. They almost always pay. It's important. It's like a moral core there that he has. Hamilton Burger. Hey, Hamilton. Howdy, Bosch. We'll have to watch the replay at work tomorrow. Have a great stream. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Watch when you can. Trevor says you can fake it as a comic writer. Apparently, current mainstream in one. Oh, that's for sure. But again, there's no. They've hurt the medium so bad that no one talks about comics anymore. You know, we got Will Eisner who was trying to make it a quote unquote respectable medium for years, decades and decades, decades, and now it's stagnant in terms of the mainstream. You know, the independents, that's a different story, but people don't really. If the mainstream's doing bad, the independents will be ignored in a lot of ways. That's why the dumb fucks at the Comics Journal, the Commie Journal, I used to call it. They were trashing to no end Marvel and Jim Shooter and what they were doing. It's like dummies. If that doesn't work, if that's not successful, if those comics are not well done and really, really great, and they work great, then you can't get into the independents and make those, you can't survive a comic books industry if the greats aren't doing great. But we're at an age now where, again, the crowdfunding aspect. Now even Mark Millar and John Romita Jr. are doing crowdfunding. That's interesting. As far as I know, that's their first crowdfund. Um, that's pretty cool. But yeah, now it's a different thing because of the internet also. And also this, I was listening to Comics Get Live. I'm still not understanding it exactly. I guess it's more of a promotional stream. I couldn't make it yesterday, but they were talking about, I think Vasilis talked about, like, this is the new convention type thing. These streams, Comicsgate. And I believe that's true. I think those things are, I don't know, going by the wayside in a lot of ways because the major companies have so forgotten what makes comics great, why they became incredibly popular, why the superheroes became icons, and why, from that comes the graphic novel, Will Eisner, and all the other things that Frank Miller did after superheroes with Sin City 300. I can go on, guys, but let me just read a few more comments and then get back to a few more, because I'm going to read these little nuggets from Rand and then go back and forth with you guys, whatever you want to say. Art says, true, Trevor, about the you can fake it as a comic book writer. Yeah. Sometimes I want the sound of freedom. Sometimes I want Deadpool. Oh, wait a minute. He's talking about basically the cheeseburger and steak. 100%. And I can enjoy all those movies. Those two right there, in particular, are the Sound of Freedom and Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine, I know, I'm not supposed to like it, supposedly. No, I enjoyed it. I love Wolverine. I love Hugh Jackson's Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds did a great, Deadpool. I never cared for Deadpool as a character, but he does a very entertaining performance as a character. And to have those two characters clash, it's interesting, They don't belong together. It's like they just don't. And it works. It works in that movie. The clash was good, and then also you still get a little heart in there, at the end, and it works. Visually, it was great. How the hell they pulled off Wolverine's yellow and light blue suit? I don't know, but they did. It looked awesome. It looked awesome. All the iterations of Wolverine, Henry Cavill as a Wolverine, which is great. It's hilarious. Not for the faint of heart, the peanut gallery. I think it's about comic books and how you cannot be a frou-frou artist and you'll hit the wall. If you just want to throw paint at a canvas like Jackson Pollock did, the artist Jackson Pollock, who threw up in his paintings and kept it there, who rode his bike over his paintings. I mean, the guy was a drunk who wanted to be seen as an artist. That's really what he was. He was alcoholic who wanted to be seen as an artist. That's it. And he was troubled. Yeah, he was alcoholic. He's fucked up. But that's not art. That's just absolute physicality, throwing paint at the canvas. No rhyme, no reason. And then you can say, well, yeah, he did mean certain things. Okay, make some wallpaper. He should have been like a wallpaper guy. It says nothing. Nothing. It just says, I guess, design, a pattern. That's about it. Doesn't say anything else. I remember in my first book, Table for One. You know what? I'm going to pull it up now. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up and show you what I'm talking about instead of just talk about it. Give me 1 second, guys. I wonder if I could pull it up here if it'll work. Excuse me. Why didn't it go? Huh. It's not popping up. It's very strange. Okay. I'm going to show you this here. I think it's fits right into what I'm saying here. Just give me 1 second. I hope it does pop up. And if you've read Table for One, guys, you know. Okay. This is a moment in Table for One where William Howland walks into the office of his boss, Richard Degrado. Richard Degrado is what I intended. Degrade, but it could be also pronounced Degrado. He walks into his office and he realizes that he has these two new paintings here. And so he looks and he says, oh no, this is William Holland. He's a writer, an artist. And he goes, oh no, paint things instead of paintings. See, I mean, me and my friend Bat and Lash, we used to love puns. And I said, I love your puns, Batten, but I am the pun, sure. And I think that worked, Instead of paintings, paint things. These are painful things that these artists pulled out of their rage or whatever. Pablo Picasso, instead of, Pablo Picasso. And the mess who's probably responsible for giving Pollock's a dumb rap. That's a Jackson Pollock mess. And his point is that Jackson Pollock is probably the one responsible for giving Pollock's a dumb rap. Pollock. It's fun. Now let me get rid of this and get back to this. We can continue about what Ayn Rand thought about art. Her very serious distillation about art, its meaning, and that it is not subjective. Let me pull this back a little. Let me read a few more comments actually, and then Comic Books in Cahoots says comic book illustrators are the mix of artist and craftsman and entertainer, for sure. No doubt about it. We got to do it all. And I think some people tend to forget the entertainment part. That is deadly important. It's deadly important. It's an overlooked thing. You have to, I don't care how high you think the concept you have is, if you don't try to make it an entertaining to the reader, to keep them engaged, motivated to continue, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what your ideas might be. It has to entertain. It has to. It's a deadly important thing that some, I think, artists overlook, and they're offended, I think, some of them. Like, I'm not just an entertainer. Yeah, we are. We want to be as good as we can be, but we are entertainers. This is a pop culture. This is, pop art in a lot of ways. It is a popular form of art, but it can be done incredibly well. It can reach levels of art. Trevor says to Art, he goes, nothing is worse than a movie critic who recommends a college art flick as genius and can't appreciate a Godzilla flick. That's right. Hey, that last Godzilla movie, Godzilla -1, it's great. It's a great movie. Really well done. Engaging as hell, emotionally affecting. And it was seamlessly done, from the special effects to the story of the humans. And that's the big complaint about these big, dumb monster movies, that the humans are shit. They don't have to be. That's not what those behind Godzilla -1, they said, yeah, we can make this a great movie that happens to have Godzilla in there, a big monster. And let's not do short shrift on Godzilla either. He's a main factor of it, but still, the point is that you have to fill the humans with a lot of motivation, a lot of, or else the movie can't really. It has no motor, has no soul, and that movie definitely has a soul. So it's really, really good. Um, Art says, agreed. Reminds me of a certain C.S. Lewis quote about people who too concerned with appearing mature. That's for sure. Or as Jason Whitlock says, mature. Even though he says he's trying to sound mature, it's like, bro, come on, man. I mean, come on. Mature. It's so annoying. Trevor says, I can appreciate The Godfather, but I still prefer The Evil Dead 2. Now that's fighting words, Trevor. That's fighting words. Prefer? I mean, prefer? The hell? Now, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. See, I haven't seen the Evil Dead movies. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't appeal to me. I know it's supposedly it's sacrilege, I guess, right? In the pop culture corner, but I don't know. I just it never appealed to me. Um, I don't know. Comic books and cahoots. It doesn't matter if it's John Ford, William Friedkin, or Sam Raimi. Real movie make put everything they have into making the best final product they can and put a touch of honesty into work. That's for sure. All those guys that make some great movies. Sam Raimi, A Simple Plan. I saw that recently. Again, it's really good, man. A Simple Plan, really well done. Something off the grid for him, I think. You know, from his Evil Dead movies and Spider-Man to that. Mucky says Deadpool and Wolverine is the poor man's Daffy and Porky. That's hilarious. Trevor says still waiting on that Table for One hardcover. Man, I know. One day it's 21 years old now. I did think about making a color version, and it didn't happen because I don't think it should be color. I did a color version of the cover. It looked good. I liked it. It was made to be in black and white. I used black and gray as colors in there. I a lot of black in there, more black than in the Pigment comics. Um, One day, Trevor, the 25th anniversary sounds like that could be a good time to do that in 4 years. That's right. Batten was a punny guy. He sure was, man. We used to go at it and try to pun up each other. Maki Picasso, what's your thoughts on P. Ruiz Blasco and his ability to draw hands versus P. Picasso's ability to draw hands? See, I don't. I probably know the guy's work, but I don't know. I just know that he. It's sad because again, when a guy does that, I understand artists want to simplify, but he didn't simplify. He made eyeballs in the wrong places. He put profiles, but he just started to fuck around really. And it's like, well, he's like a child. Yeah, but he's not a child. He's a grown man who understands art. And I think he caused a lot of people. He did in a way what Rob Liefeld did. He let in people who didn't belong in art to think that they're artists by, oh, that looks like shit. I can do that. That's the thinking, you know? It doesn't matter how he got there. It doesn't matter the fact that he knows how to paint and how to draw on the anatomy. And he's just twisting it, you know? And, but he brought in a lot of people that didn't belong in art. And that's when the modern art came in. And, you know, that's why people mock it so thoroughly. You know, you got a white painting on a white canvas and it sells for millions. I mean, that's not art. It's not. It's business. It's commerce at that point. And that's all it is. Hey, John. How's it going? Art says, confession time. I just like the American Godzilla films. Terrible writing and boring characters. It might as well just be, yeah, on action. Yeah, they're not good. I will still watch them because, well, I'll still watch them. Monsters, King Kong, you know. But yeah, that Godzilla -1, it doesn't have to be bad. You don't have to have the humans be shit characters. They don't have to be. They are. That movie, they weren't. And you know, and I know we're not used to that kind of overwrought emotion that the main character had. I was even a little uneasy with it, but looking at it now, it's real. There's something real about it. You don't have to, and it also tells you where he was coming from and what he was able to accomplish was even greater because of that. Nicholas Ray said something about Heroes, the director who directed Rebel Without a Cause and a number of movies. He said something about you look up there and you see a hero and he's just as fucked up as you are, but he'll do these heroic things. And then it tells you, hey, maybe you can do them too. You know, the idea about that flawed character, but they can still rise above it all and succeed and become heroes, no matter how down and out they are, no matter how troubled they are. Um, let's see. Comic book saying, who's Bosch? If I could pick your Comicsgate Kings intro, it would either be you as Race Bannon from Johnny Quest or Lance Henriksen from the Millennium TV show. Hey man, thanks. That's cool. I don't know if you saw Bellwether's new Comicsgate Live video. Um, Fun, man. She, I think it's a she. I mean, I'm assuming it is, even though sometimes people have women as their avatars and female names as their names, and they're not. But it's pretty cool. I was in there, and she put me in there, and it's just fun. It's just I really appreciate it. Um, John says I find that most of the things I like are not popular. Yeah, same here, John. But some things I do like happen to be popular also. I mean, The Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, you know, Godfather, great art, great movie, great comics. Um, Alex Toth, though, that's I just saw a picture again. It was in my files of Alex Toth sitting with Jack Kirby, 1971, at a convention. I mean, you know, to have been there and to just listen to these guys, doesn't matter what they're saying really. It's just that whatever they're talking about that point, you just listen to these absolute masters. They're both up there. I think Kirby was with his pipe and Toth was with his cigarette, and they were dressed up. I think at least Toth had like a sports jacket. Kirby had a collared shirt, and he didn't have a AC/DC T-shirt. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it becomes a little. I don't know. It's like when Ethan launches something, he puts on like a sports jacket, and he inspired me to do that on my launch for a Pigman. I wore a sports jacket with a collared shirt. Something about it, just a step up a little. Trevor says it's true. Ashes are way cooler than any Corleone. It's hilarious. That is funny. I mean, if you want to compare, yeah, it's a criminal family and all that, sure, no doubt. But in terms of the depth of that movie, the level of the writing, the acting, the directing, I mean, there's a reason why it's an all-time great, and arguably one of the greatest movies, if not the greatest movie ever made, arguably. Hill, Alpha Channel, how's it going? Bretsky the Great, salute to you as well. Thanks, man. Uh, Trevor says, deep in his inner core, Bosch knows I'm correct. I gotta watch that. I guess so. I gotta watch that if you're gonna, talk about that highly. I guess the original Evil Dead, and then I think there was a series also. Is that right? Um, Alpha Channel, Rabbit in a Snowstorm. Yes, the Kingpin one, and also Rabbit in the Headlights. That song that Tom York sang. It's great. They have a little bit. Danny Aiello had a little line in a movie, and it was really good. Really good. I wonder if I could play it for you guys. Let's see if I can. Let me see. I like the quality of these shows in terms of the organic quality. You don't know exactly where you're gonna go. You might have an idea. I mean, we're talking about art, but 1 second. I'm gonna try to find that. Okay. I'm gonna play this one part, guys. Just one part. And I gotta change. One second. Okay, guys. I hope you're able to hear that. I love that line by Danny Aiello. It's put in the middle of that song that Tom York was singing for Uncle, his band Uncle. He does a lot of guest star, songs. He did one with PJ Harvey, um, with Bjork. It's good stuff, man. Really, really good stuff. And the versatility of Tom York's voice, in terms of today, I don't think there's anyone like it. Anyone else like it out there? The versatility, the willingness to go out there and go as far as you can to belt it out. Um, yes, John, they have removed intellect from entertainment. They sure as hell have. They took the brain right out, like a brain transplant, and put nothing in there. It's not like they put anything in there, they just took it out. Trevor, the noble rebel. Was that about what we were talking about, the Nicholas Ray? Yes, Trevor. It's not a coincidence that Rand liked Westerns, absolutely. Alpha Channel said it's hard to respect people who don't respect themselves. That's for sure, Alpha. It's almost it's flat out impossible, and it's obvious also. You'll know it when you see it. You'll know it. Trevor, decorum. You were talking about decorum in terms of launching things, yeah. And Toth and Kirby at the conference at the convention, to be presentable. There's something about that. And I'm not, I wear t-shirts and stuff, but the point is, if I go to an event, I'm not gonna just walk up with a t-shirt. My first talk, I didn't wear a suit. I don't like wearing a tie. Um, I'll do it sometimes, but just a dress shirt with a sports jacket. Hey, Mikey, how's it going? Hello, Boston chat. I ordered Death of Gene DeWolf so I can watch your latest streams. Very, very cool, Mikey. Excellent. Yeah, because I'm glad. It's much better if you read it than watch mine before you read it. So very, very cool. Art says Evil Dead has two sequels. They did a series decades later. Okay. Was Sam Raimi involved with the directing or just the producing? I imagine Bruce. What's his name? There's a guy in the chat also, Bruce, with the chins, with something chin. Bruce Campbell. I think Bruce Campbell. Um, Trevor Nielsen says, you only need The Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Okay. Like I said, I've never seen The Evil Deads. I want to watch it because of Shanth now. So Shanth recommends that as well. Let me put it on my list, guys. Give me 1 second. It's something about it. It never appealed. I don't know. It's like a comedy horror, I guess. Is that what we're talking? 1980? No. Okay. Hold on a second, guys. 1983? Is that right? Is that old? What the hell? That's crazy. What? You know what? I watched it, Trevor. I just rented it, so cool. Okay. Omni. Bosch, are you gonna draw? No. I last time I drew outside of the King's chat, outside of the King show, live on the air was this. It was I drew this for the 10th anniversary of my winning the Muhammad cartoon contest, and two guys who came to kill us died for it. And I always love saying it because it's such a righteous thing to be part of, man. My God. Defend free speech, and the two scumbags who come to mass murder us get killed for it. I mean, guys, I don't know. It's extraordinary. It really is. It's extraordinary to have been part of it. What an event. I remember, right after people said, man, it's terrible what happened. I said, terrible. I got $12,500 for a cartoon, and two guys who came to mass murder us got killed. It's fucking great. They're part of an enemy at war with us. Part of the same enemy that murdered those at Charlie Hebdo. And it happened, a few months later, five months later. They wanted to do a sequel, to Charlie Hebdo massacre. And if we didn't have that sharpshooter, they could have got in. There was a SWAT team there and all that, a lot of undercover police and security guards, and also ex-military guys in there. Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer really understood we're a magnet here for these monsters, so we got to make sure. And in the middle of my speech, I said, "Why do you think we have this kind of security here?" Because Islam does not mean peace. Anyway, Bruce Campbell. Yep. Trevor, I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna look into it about the monetization. I do appreciate it, guys. If you can't super chat me, so again, if you want to support me, get some of my trading cards at my store. They're cheaper, or back Pigman, or get my Prince or Muhammad playing cards, and so on. I got 2 books left. I have about a dozen copies left of my Mama Cartoons Volume 1 and 2. So you guys can do that, at least in the meantime, until I try to find out what the hell's going on here. Because, I earned that monetization. I was like, very, very cool. I've been building the channel, having, frequent live streams here and there, and that's unfortunate. So I'd like to find out myself, Trevor. Thanks, Mikey. Appreciate it. Make sure to back the legendary Pigman 2 guys. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Mikey. He put a link in the chat. Trevor, Batten loved his suits. Indeed, he did. He complained at every convention that everyone at the award dressed like dock workers. I know. Batten, self-respect factor there. It really was. He stepped it up. He was proud of his work, wanted to sell it, wearing a suit, feeling a little more elevated than just putting on some cut-off T-shirt, or a wife beater. Art says the first one is very low budget and indie cult classic. Yeah, I have heard that. I guess the second one got a little more because it was a hit. Trevor says, "Are you going to host Everybody Draw Mama Day?" It's funny. It's in 2 days, isn't it? May 30th. Yeah. I don't know. How to even go about that. I just it's something that Molly Norris threw out there years ago. An artist for the San Francisco Times, a cartoonist, who said, "Hey, everybody draw Mama Day." She, being a good liberal, hey, let's all draw Muhammad. Didn't think it through, meaning when I first drew Muhammad, I knew I'm bringing on threats. I knew I'm bringing on trouble. I guess she was oblivious. That's stupid, I guess, being a dumb liberal, I guess. What happens is that they removed her from their paper. FBI was in touch with her, and Molly Norris disappeared. There's no more Molly Norris. Mark Stein wrote a great article about that. Um, so yeah, that was many years ago now. 15 years ago. I think it was 2010, if I'm not mistaken. That sounds right to me. I made a cartoon about the Seattle Times, and um, it was funny in respect to minors. Yeah, so I don't know. I wouldn't even know how to go about that. And you know what? It's funny, Trevor, because every day is Drum Muhammad Day for me. You know, it's like I do them no matter what. I remember Batten telling me that he was speaking with Frank Miller, and he mentioned me to Frank Miller, and Frank Miller knew of me, and he asked him about Drum Muhammad, and Frank said, "Oh, yeah, I think it just passed, something like that." You know, it's like you don't got to be bound by that, Frank. You don't have to be. You know, just draw it, Mister Free Speech. You know, I do resent him more than anyone in comics when it comes to the free speech issue. He used to talk a good game about free speech for decades. Make speeches about free speech. Be with with the CBLDF and all this, right? Free speech, free speech, free speech. 2005. Hey Frank, how about those who were threatened? Charlie Hebdo, us, me at the Drum Muhammad contest. Nothing. No word for us. Oh, okay. I see. I see what free speech really meant to you. What free speech really meant. It's fucked up, you know. One of my heroes, and I felt really let down. I don't want to hear him yap away about free speech now. I don't. I don't at all. We are 20 years removed from the Muhammad cartoon crisis. 20 years removed since I've been drawing Muhammad. Um, anyway, Comic Books Inc. says, have you read the 1930 Gladiator novel about Hugo Danner, a pre-suit man, strong and almost indestructible man who finds himself constantly ostracized from politics, sports, war, scientific academia? No, I haven't heard that. Comic Books in Cahoots. Sounds interesting. Hugo Danner. A novel, I assume. Mikey says, they came to kill us and died for it is a powerful line. Yeah, man. It's funny. I wrote that line. I gave it to Frank Warner, aka Pigman, 4 years before, when it was published 4 years before the Drum Muhammad cartoon contest. And I have him say it, and I have Killian Duke, the cartoonist in the story, the stand in for me, writing it out. They came to kill us and died for it. And no, Frank's was they came to kill us and will die for it. That's what that was his vow. But after the scumbags died, were killed, our would-be murderers, I thought that line, I tweeted it at the time. It became a viral line. It became headlines for newspaper stories across the entire globe. It was an international news story. I got cousins in Sweden. Some were saying, "I knew it. I knew Bosch was going to blow up." I didn't know what that meant at the time, but blow up means, I guess, become something more than just a local thing. Thanks, Mikey. Mikey says, "Fuck you two for that ridiculous taking away your super chats." It sucks, man. It was working fine, and then one day I think someone tried to give a super chat. It wasn't there. It wasn't there on my end either. I was like, damn. Yes, Trevor. Molly Norris did go into hiding after that, and we don't know. Supposedly, new name, new location. FBI was in touch with her. She didn't understand, I think, what she was getting into, and it's just a dumb liberal, really. And again, it's not. I'm not trying to belittle her. I like the fact that she did that. It's a very natural thing to do in response to these horrors, right? But you got to know what you're doing. You should know that people are want to murder you for this. And guys, whenever these savage Muslims come after me on X, right? and they come after me a lot here. And it's nonsense, but when they talk about me being whiny about something, it's like, bitches, you guys murder human beings over goddamn cartoons, you pussies. You know, that's the thing. You got to put it in their face. In their face. The biggest pussies on earth. They cannot handle goddamn cartoons. It's like people can take punches. They can't take a goddamn cartoon. Nothing. They can't take an insult. They can't take a word. That's not strength. That's cowardice. That's weak as hell. Art says, if only my stick figures weren't so awful, you can't tell me Muhammad from Maya Pikachu. I think you're probably selling yourself too short. You can figure out a simple drawing. Guys, my Draw Muhammad, challenge that I threw out there in 2018, half a dozen of the artists who answered were non-artists. Non-artists. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you draw them. The fact that you even if you write out his name and put a little circle there, like a sad face, say that's Muhammad. Again, guys, it's not how you draw him; it's that you draw him. That's the whole thing. That's the point. Yes, he was, Trevor. Frank Miller was quiet about Antifa as well. He learned his lesson, I guess, from his perspective. It's pussy time for Frank Miller. It's not Miller time. It's pussy time, unfortunately. When Antifa went wild, nothing. And BLM, what did he do? What did he do for BLM? He had Martha Washington doing the Black Panther fist. Like, that's what you got, Frank? That's what you have? Not a pushback against that madness? That race, that Nazism that the left was pushing, that National Socialism, race and socialism, which is what they are. That's what you do? You pile on like an idiot? And he knows better. That's the thing about Frank Miller. He knows better. And what a pathetic thing, man. You know what? Just speaking of that, let me find this. I do this because I want to keep my desktop clear from... let me just figure this out, guys. 1 second, man. 1 second. Okay. Let me show you this. Give me 1 second. Okay. I gotta make this smaller. Just speaking of Frank Miller and my disappointment in him. Again, all-time great. Without his work, I wouldn't be a cartoonist. Without Dark Knight Returns, without Daredevil Born Again, I would not be a cartoonist. Without Batman Year One, I wouldn't be. It's all things considered. That's why I'm fucking pissed off at him for pulling shit like this. I thought the guy was had some balls. Not really. No, he doesn't. He picks and chooses his spots. And so this is what I did a little while back. The brave and the bold Frank Miller. Here he is. His drawing on behalf of BLM. Right? Goddamn Black Panther fist. His drawing against Asian hate, which wasn't happening. The only thing that was happening was that blacks were going after Asians. I don't know, it was like a call to order that they were doing that. And they weren't, it was blacks doing it, thugs. And then you got here, his Muhammad drawing on behalf of murdered cartoonists. Isn't that something else, guys? His drawing on behalf of Israel against Hamas. So this guy picks and chooses his spots. He doesn't say, you know what, something horrific is happening, and I'm going to stand up for those victims of it. He goes, oh shit. Cartoonists were murdered. I'm going to keep it cool. Israelis were slaughtered in, obscene ways. Nah. Black Lives Matter? Boom. Asian hate? Yeah, I got this. That's pussy stuff right there. The guy was great, and now he sucks. And it sucks to see Frank Miller suck. It really, really does. Um, I hate that. I fucking hate it. Anyway, comic book Saint in Cahoots says people give free speech lip service, but blink when it gets dangerous. Free thought is even more dangerous and rare. That's for sure. You know, you believe in free speech or you don't. You don't go. You don't say, well, free speech to me means um, uh, I don't. No, that's not free speech. I don't. No, 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 no. The most repugnant things you ever heard is free speech. Things that I hate hearing is free speech. It's not hate speech. I hate hearing it, but it's free speech. Uh, that's why I mock the idea of hate speech by saying, okay, so we got love speech too. But that love speech is fine. Basically, speech that you love is fine, but speech that you hate is not fine. No, all speech doesn't matter. And then they say, well, how about I'm gonna kill you. That's not speech. That's an incitement to violence. That's That's speech that wants to act in a way that can do you harm. That's a big difference. I hate you. That's free speech. You're disgusting. That's free speech. You're a piece of shit. That's free speech. You want to call it fighting words? That's up to you. You want to get into a fist fight with someone over it? That's up to you. Then you'll pay the price for that. But the point is that you can say anything, and then people will be the judge whether they want to associate with you. We have freedom of association, and that's what the people seem to misunderstand. Blocking people, right? Blocking piece of shit scumbags on X. They make themselves known to me as piece of shits, and I block them. They say, "Look, Mr. Free Speech," like dummy. You can post anywhere you want, just not on my posts. That's free speech. That's my free speech. Um, Mikey says, "Is there a way for you to get to send Pigman to Frank? Let him see a better holy terror with balls." It's funny you say that, Mikey, because his girlfriend years ago, at least the one that he was with years ago, I don't know if he's with her. Um, she loved Pigman, and she told Frank about it. She told me that she told Frank about it, and me and my girlfriend at the time had dinner with her twice. Frank was supposed to meet us twice, both in California and New York. It never happened. He never showed up, whatever reason. Um, I can think of some reasons, but whatever. And I remember the last dinner we had with her. It was on the eve of the release of Holy Terror, I believe, because it was soon. It was coming out soon, and she told me that Frank didn't think he went far enough, and that's for sure. That's an understatement. Understatement. Again, you're going to take on this threat, and again, guys, in terms of, I know, I was told at one point, how about not being so explicit? How about not? I said, look, in the middle of a war, I don't want to fuck around and play games like was a guy who made Dune. He tried to be abstract and then also bring in the word jihad and having Muslims there. It's like, okay, but this is the alien planet. What? You do it upfront, directly or not. When you got, you know, when you have Captain America punching Hitler on that cover, it's important for the culture. It's important to see that particular enemy at that time getting it. It's important. Um, Frank Miller didn't want to go too explicit. He wanted to have Al Qaeda, I guess, which is why he said in the interview with Barnes Noble, MTV, I think at the time when they were still doing some interviews with him for Holy Terror, and the way he said it was so bad. I mean, look, on a physical level, what happened to him? I don't know. I heard he crashed on the streets of New York in ice and shattered his hip, and he's never been the same since. He has one shoulder up and down. He has a big belly, and he's skinny everywhere else. Fucked up, but it also fucked up his voice. He used to have a pretty masculine voice. He's a big guy. Now he's, I don't know. He's a lot shorter than used to be. But now his voice is really high pitched and weird sounding. It's like I guess Nick, what's his name? who came back from that problem that he had. The voice, something about it. Anyway, this is how he said it. This is how I remember him saying it. Bob Schreck was interviewing him. That's another story right there. Bob Schreck. Anyway, a yes man of yes men to Frank Miller, and he asked him questions, and he goes, I don't know what the question was, but I know the answer, and it pissed me off. And he goes, um, I don't know squat about Islam. And the reason he said it, the way he said it, Islam, I don't know why he said it that way. And he also, without high pitch, I don't know squat about Islam, but I do know a hell of a lot about Al Qaeda. It's like, eh, eh. I don't know squat about National Socialism, but I do know a lot about Nazism. It's like same shit, bro. That's the motivation. That's the motivational factor for Al Qaeda. Without Islam, there is no Al Qaeda. And he was playing dumb, is what he was doing. And it's obvious. The guy's smart. His work tells you that. His interviews tell you that. You know, I mean, I've read endless interviews with him. Frank Miller was the guy to me, you know. And then, well, in terms of writing, the art, Toth will always have that. To me, it's the writing Frank Miller and the art Alex Toth. And imagine them two together. Imagine how that would look like. Even though Toth, unfortunately, mentioned Frank Miller in the interview, goes, that's another thing. I don't think he liked Dark Knight or the spirit of it. I don't think he gave it a chance. I think if he had read it, I think he would have appreciated the artistry of it. I really do. But so I don't know, Mikey. Okay, I do know that it was in his orbit. I know that because his girlfriend wrote me, I love Pigman, the same thing that Andrew Breitbart wrote me in all caps. And she mentioned that she was talking to Frank Miller about me and this and that. And again, we set up 2 dinners with them. And I finally got a chance to talk to Frank Miller 11 years ago, and he wasn't present. He wasn't there. He looked like death. People assumed he was about to die at that time. He looked like he was going through chemo or something. But I spoke to him, and there was no one quite there. Sad. But he's been up. I mean, he's still here. He's doing shit covers now. Even though the Daredevil cover he did was the best of the worst. The best one they did recently for Cold Day in Hell. But speaking of that, let me do this one more time, guys. Because I know a number of you miss certain things. You don't see certain things at times. That's just the nature of it. Let me get this. Okay. This was something I did for a commission. And let me show you what it is. Let me get off here and go here. Believe it or not, guys, that I figure some of these things out shocks me. I'm not dumb. I just don't understand a lot of these things, and it was very difficult to find out how to figure this all out. But this was a commission. Someone knew that I was pissed off at Frank Miller for saying, I don't know, squat about Islam, right? So they asked me to draw Pigman punching the affixer from Holy Terror. And it's a spirit of it. I don't know, squat about Islam. And he's like, shut up. And if you notice, it's rich blacks on Pigman, rich reds, and there's no blacks on the fixer. It's all like a light, like a dark gray and pink. And it was fun. And it's he deserves this, to be mocked this way, because it was a failure artistically, story-wise. And again, there are elements that are brilliant. Elements like the people dying. Again, personally, a little too antiseptic, because it's a brutal death. It's not a clean thing that they're disappearing into the ether. But the idea was brilliant. Just brilliant. And then he had the hulking fixer, and then he had him a skinny guy at the end. It's like a black suit, a complete white suit. It was all in one night. Whatever, man. That's what the drink does to you. Frank Miller. That's what it does to you, and that's what it did to him. And I've been wanting to see Frank Miller, um, American Genius. I mean, come on, man. You can't be part of a movie that calls you genius. You just can't. It's something obscene about it. Even if you are, you can't do that. Geniuses don't call themselves genius and don't do movies about them being geniuses. When Ayn Rand was asked, when Ayn Rand was told you're a genius, she goes, "Don't." She goes, "Look, I'm just more honest than others." She was a genius, but it's not something you. Something about it. You don't want to even lock yourself up like that. Michael Jordan never ever said he's the GOAT. Leave that to punks like LeBron, who says there was one game, right? That right there may be the greatest player of all time. That right there, that one game, not your career, not the years that Jordan spent, years and years and years and years, 6 championship rings, never lost in finals. You lost 6 times in the finals, won 4 times. You had some cheap rings with the Miami Heat guys. Anyway, the point is that right there is like that moment in time, maybe the GOAT. No, the GOAT is not made in one game or one moment. Terrible, terrible. Um, let me read some more comments, guys. Alpha Channel people are so sensitive, that's for sure. Oh, the hypersensitivity of these monsters also. Monsters are the most hypersensitive. Um, so yeah, I know that Frank Miller absolutely 100% knows about me through his girlfriend from years ago, through Batten, who was a friend of his and a friend of mine. Others, I mean, you know, do you think Frank Miller, the day that the attack happened when they tried to kill us and I won the Muhammad Cartoon contest and 2 guys got their heads blown off, you think he didn't hear about that? He didn't care enough to connect with me, you know. I would assume that a guy like that would, like, oh shit, you know, I'm for free speech. I'm working on something against jihad also. No, and he knew me, so he didn't. He has chosen not to associate with me, whatever reason, and it is what it is. You the peanut gallery, they kill babies. How cowardly is that? Man, you got soft targets, and then you have the softest possible targets, and that's what they do. This became a chat stream, but you know what, guys? I'm gonna read this and go back to you guys. I do want to keep the point of this here first. Okay, so art and cognition for the Romantic Manifesto. By a selective recreation, art isolates and integrates those aspects of reality which represent man's fundamental view of himself and of existence. Out of the countless number of concretes of single, disorganized, and seemingly contradictory attributes, actions, and entities, an artist isolates the things which he regards as metaphysically essential and integrates them into a single new concrete that represents an embodied abstraction. For instance, consider two statues of man, one as a Greek god, the other as a deformed medieval monstrosity. Both are metaphysical estimates of man. Both are projections of the artist's view of man's nature. Both are concretized representations of the philosophy of their respective cultures. Art is a concretization of metaphysics. Art brings man's concepts to the perceptual level of his consciousness and allows him to grasp them directly, as if they were percepts. This is the psycho-epistemological function of art and the reason of its importance in man's life and the crux of the objectivist ethics. One more, guys, then I'm gonna go back to the chat. Give me 1 second. I want to see if you guys can view this here. You can view it here. Okay. The psychoepistemology of art. Is the universe intelligible to man or unintelligible and unknowable? Can man find happiness on earth or is he doomed to frustration and despair? Does man have the power of choice, volition, will, something that, Sam Harris denies the existence of? And even in that, he's making a choice, you know? Anyway, the power to choose his goals and to achieve them, the power to direct the course of his life, or is he the helpless plaything of forces beyond his control which determines his fate? Is man by nature to be valued as good or to be despised as evil? These are metaphysical questions, but the answers to them determine the kind of ethics men will accept and practice. The answers are the link between metaphysics and ethics, and although metaphysics is, as such, is not a normative science, the answers to this category of questions assume, in man's mind, the function of metaphysical value judgments, since they form the foundation of all of his moral values. Consciously or subconsciously, explicitly or implicitly, man knows that he needs a comprehensive view of existence to integrate his values, to choose his goals, to plan his future, to maintain the unity and coherence of his life, and that his metaphysical value judgments are involved in every moment of his life, in his every choice, decision, and action. Metaphysics, the science that deals with the fundamental nature of reality, involves man's widest abstractions. It includes every concrete he has ever perceived. It involves such a vast sum of knowledge and such a long chain of concepts that no man could hold it all in the focus of his immediate conscious awareness. Yet he needs that sum and that awareness to guide him. He needs the power to summon them into full conscious focus. That power is given to him by art. That's a hell of a thing, man. The psychoepistemology of art. It is not journalistic information or scientific education or moral guidance that man seeks from a work of art. Keep his mind, because again, as I was saying before, I want to I want you to know what I know about this Islamic enemy in my Pigman comic. I want you to know what I know. And I want to tell you that in as entertaining a way as I can, in as engaging a way, without being didactic, without hitting you over the head with it. But I do want you to know, because that way you can understand the motivations of the character, why they do what they do. So when Rand writes, it is not journalistic information or scientific education or moral guidance that man seeks from a work of art, though these may be involved as secondary consequences. But the fulfillment of a more profound need, a confirmation of his view of existence, a confirmation not in the sense of resolving cognitive doubts, but in the sense of permitting him to contemplate his abstractions outside his own mind in the form of existential concretes. One more, guys. Sorry, I'm just getting into this. Art and sense of life. As to the role of emotions in art and the subconscious mechanism that serves as the integrating factor both in artistic creation and in man's response to art, they involve a psychological phenomenon which we call a sense of life, which Ayn Rand calls. A sense of life is a preconceptual equivalent of metaphysics and an emotional, subconsciously integrated appraisal of man and of existence. One last thing, man. One last thing, guys. This is halfway through, actually, of these quotes from the Ayn Rand lexicon. The emotion involved in art is not an emotion in the ordinary meaning of the term. It is experienced more as a sense or a feel, but it has two characteristics pertaining to emotions. It is automatically immediate, and it has an intense, profoundly personal, yet undefined value meaning to the individual experiencing it. The value involved is life, and the words naming the emotion are "this is what life means to me." No one says it better than Rand in anything. I mean, I know people have their favorites and so on, but when it comes to her novels, to her nonfiction, to her, you know, ability to explain philosophy, to explain art, I mean, it's incredible. Oh man. Art says, still remember the first time I drew him. Very eye-opening. Kid next to me freaked out. Never seen anyone so scared at school. About Muhammad art? Is that right? Interesting. I drew Muhammad live on this show I was on 2014 with I know his name. What the hell, man? Michael Loftus. Michael Loftus. I was on his show, The Flip Side, which was basically the flip side, meaning non-leftist show. You know, and appreciating artists and actors. And I remember I was with Andrew Clavin and Michael. What was his name? Michael Ramirez, the great cartoonist. And we were all there, and I did my segment pitching Pigman, talking about it, and then I drew Muhammad at the end. And So funny. Some of the backers told the producer, "We're not going to air that. What? We're not going to air that. That's impossible. That's hilarious." I drew it live on the air. Well, sorry, I drew it. It was pre-recorded. Sorry, pre-recorded, and of course they edited it out. Which is funny. I also drew Muhammad in the middle of a talk I did in Maryland at a college, and I saw these three guys eyeballing me, some swarthy guys from Turkey and quote unquote Palestine. That's what at least they said. And I drew Muhammad in the middle of it, and they doubted my having a Muslim background, which all Muslims do. They have to discredit. It's like, no, no, no. You were never Muslim because you're not Muslim now, so you couldn't have been Muslim because you're not Muslim now. It's like, yeah, okay. They need to believe that Islam's so good that no one would leave it, and if you left it, then you never were. But and so on. It's just Islamic logic. Um, and they try to call me out after, and I told them, I said, you guys. They said you were never Muslim. I said I was. I said, but you guys aren't Muslim now. Oh yeah, I said yeah. I said you guys didn't run up here when I drew Muhammad and you didn't try to cut my head off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said yeah, yeah, yeah. And then another guy walked up to me and he goes, it's amazing. Just listen to this. He goes, he's like, we're putting sheep's clothing on wolves ourselves. I said that's exactly what we're doing, and then that inspired a cartoon that I did. I think when I got back when I got back home, of a guy given this werewolf type looking Muslim with large claws like a wolf, and putting sheep's clothing. And then he turns his back, and of course the wolf tears into him. Um, Mucky says, "Who was the guy from Mad Magazine? I want to see a What Me Worry Muhammad." Oh man, you know what, guys? I got to do this again. Sorry. Um, I am now going to. I'm on my way to 1,000 Muhammad cartoons at this point. Something froze here. What the hell? Sorry, guys. Something froze here. I got it. Okay. Let me show you. I did this many years ago. You could tell by my signature. Let me show you. Yeah, this was my drawing. Mo Ham Mad, Alfred Newman. And I called out Mad Magazine, the edgy, the mad guys, right? Wild and crazy. Come on, guys. Come on. What are you doing? It's rich to be mocked Islam. That's why the guy Adam Conover that Tim Pool had on, he didn't have any idea how to make fun of Islam or why. Like, why would one do that? It's made to be mocked. And the only reason why it became violent was because Muhammad wanted to kill the laughter. That's what he wanted to do, to kill the laughter. So that's my cartoon. It's in my, I think, first volume of Muhammad cartoons. Again, I have a dozen left, guys, of volume 1 and 2, and that's all. That's the last books I have left, actually, that are in print. So you guys can get those there at the top of my store, or this right beneath, actually, the recreation of Muhammad cartoons. My recreation of my Woody Muhammad cartoon, that is. Let me read this, and then let me get back. Just one more, guys, and then I'll get back to some of the comments. Since man lives by reshaping his physical background to serve his purpose, since he must first define and then create his values, a rational man needs a concretized projection of these values, an image in whose likeness he will reshape the world and himself. Art gives him that image. It gives him the experience of seeing the full, immediate, concrete reality of his distant goals. Wow. Since the rational man's ambition is unlimited, since his pursuit and achievement of value is a lifelong process, and the higher the values, the harder the struggle, he needs a moment, an hour, or some period of time in which he can experience the sense of his completed task, a sense of living in a universe where his values have been successfully achieved. It is like a moment of rest, a moment to gain fuel to move farther. Art gives him that fuel. The pleasure of contemplating the objectified reality of one's own sense of life is the pleasure of feeling what it would be like to live in one's ideal world. And just speaking of Pigman and why I do that, I want to see this enemy get it in a way that they don't get it in real life. I want to see this enemy get what they deserve, get what's coming to them. I want to show the reader that. I want to get that visceral feeling myself. It's important. And, Rand used to like also Mickey Spillane's My Camera novels, and she called him a moral avenger. And in that sense, that's, related to Pigman. He's a moral avenger when it comes to what happened on 9/11 and what continues to happen. 47,000 attacks since 9/11, over 300,000 people murdered since 9/11. And those who tell me I'm sick of Israel, and it's like, are you sick of every week hundreds murdered in the name of Islam? Why not? And if not, why not? And so on and so on and so on. Terrible. One second, guys. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Um, Actually, one more thing here. One more thing here. The importance of that experience is not in what he learns from it, but in that he experiences it. The fuel is not a theoretical principle, not a didactic message, but the life giving fact of experiencing a moment of metaphysical joy, a moment of love for existence. And then here's Ayn Rand on the goal of my writing. This is her on the goal of her writing. Art is man's metaphysical mirror. What a rational man seeks to see in that mirror is a salute. What an irrational man seeks to see is a justification, even if only a justification of his depravity, as a last convulsion of his betrayed self esteem. Between these two extremes, there lies the immense continuum of men of mixed premises, whose sense of life holds unresolved, precariously balanced, or openly contradictory elements of reason and unreason, and works of art that reflect these mixtures. Since art is a product of philosophy, and mankind's philosophies are tragically mixed, most of the world's art, including some of its greatest examples, fall into this category. Got a few more, but let me go join you guys here again to see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, so Mucky, I just showed the Mohammed Muhammad cartoon. Mikey Getz says, people are ridiculous. I hate that Henry guy who pops in CG chats because he can't back in Glorious Rex because his wife is jealous of the hot girls in it. Is that true? That's ridiculous. But it's not his wife's not the problem. He's the problem for not putting his wife in check and just saying, honey, I love you, but don't ever tell me what I can get or can't get. That's it. That's a pussy right there, and he's admitting it to the chat for some reason. Why would he do that? Why? Terrible. The comic books and hoots, Bosh, you always the person yelling that the emperor is not wearing clothes. I get a real kick out of it, pal. That's very, very nice to hear. Comic books and hoots. Appreciate that, man. Again, to restate the obvious, that's something that I think we have to hear from certain people. And again, we could be seen as obnoxious at times. I don't care. I don't care. And people are like, oh, is he going on about Islam again? Yeah. Until these fuckers stop, I'm going to keep going on. But it's like people say, when are you going to stop John Muhammad? When they stop threatening me to to stop John Muhammad? And so on and so on. It's not, to me, this is a lifelong thing. I'm not going to just stop because, you know what? I drew him enough now. No. Appreciate it, comic books and goods again. Dang, that's what you call henpecked. Yep. Trevor says, if we could all agree about speech, then it wouldn't need protecting. 100%. We can't, and that's part of the reason why we do have this protections. We all have free speech. I don't care. Even in dictatorships, people have it. It's denied them by the governments, denied them by these tyrants, but we have it, and we're the only country who enshrines it in law. That's the difference of us and others. And even that doesn't guarantee that we can be safe from corrupt government, because they can just ignore it. They can use the masses and use some laws, and when they're in power, they can do as much damage as they want. And this is why when Obama goes to the UN and says we must not, how do you put it about Muhammad? He said something like, "That's not what an American president says." That's not. He was talking about respecting Muhammad, and that's why his FBI was involved with those who try to come and kill us. They were egging them all. They were egging them on, saying, "Tear up Texas." These jihadists are going to do what they do, but these guys did know where they were going to go, and they did nothing to stop them. They would have allowed Americans to die, and under Obama, that would have been an excuse for him to say, "Okay, no more Mao cartoons. Okay, that's it. Look, people are dead now. That's what probably would have used." And they were anticipating that because they're stupid. Those who know Islam, we were armed to the teeth because we know Islam. Robert Spencer, Pamela Geller know Islam. That's why they were armed to the teeth for the possibility that this government would try to come and get us. Those who don't understand it maybe think, yeah, they're going to get it because they're stupid. They're just reckless idiots drawing cartoons. No, you dumb fucks. I'm not reckless. I'm still here 20 years strong, draw Muhammad over 700 times now. I'm still here. You have to live by you have to live a certain way. You can't be stupid. I've learned to block people I don't want to think about in my head. That's funny. I hate him so much he made me stop watching Katie. The guy in the chat, Mikey? It's pathetic. That's a terrible thing. And again, he's telling on himself, though, on his own cowardice. His wife might not like that. Who gives a shit? He'd tell her, "Honey, I love you. Never tell me what I can get or not get. Ever. No comics. I mean, don't tell me I can, that's ridiculous. It's insane." Mikey says, no, it's his real name, like mine, Henry something. He's always preaching Jesus. On top of that. Oh, man, guys, I saw Jaime Reyes, a little clip from yesterday. It's tough, man. It's just tough to watch. He found Jesus, I guess, and let go of Comics Gay Kings, something. Telling people, I don't know. It's tough, man. It was tough to watch. Trevor, I've got some Bob Shrek stories myself. I'm pretty sure I know what they are. Yep. Yeah. I saw them around the conventions, and I heard these stories from Patton and Jackie and some others there. Oh my God. It's hilarious too. It's funny stuff. Peanut Gallery. Oh yeah, I think I know who you're talking about now. It's like I can't stand the biggest problem in your universe anymore because of Vito and his semi-communist. Yeah, I can't stand that fucker either. And they're both, to me, they're just hyenas. It's like, you guys, they laugh more than the audience. That's not a good sign. That's all they do. They cackle and laugh and scream. And Vito, as far as I remember, he hits people's channels. You don't do that. He's a fat commie. That's what he is. And then, no, he's liberal. No, anyone who hits your channels, that's not liberal. A liberal would just let that happen and say, okay, laissez-faire. I would never dream about going after someone who's trying to. I just block people, but I'm not going to go after their channels. If they threaten me, that's a different story. They threaten my life, yes. But if I don't like what they're saying, I don't like what they're saying. I'm gonna keep them out. And the biggest problem for me is these rats. It's not free speech. Why I block them? They lie and threaten and this and that, and I don't have to listen to that. I don't want to listen to that. That's all they do. Muslims and leftists, that's all they do. It's not exaggeration. They lie. They have to. If they tell the truth about their ideology, if they know the truth about their ideology, they would leave it because they're like, I can't be part of this shit. What the hell? Or they're just evil, embrace it, those who do. But there is a difference between the hardcore and then the passive idiots. There is a difference. Useful idiots in Islam are as well as commies. Alpha Channel, amazing work, Bosch. Thanks, man. Mikey, you're so good, Bosch. Damn. Thanks, guys. About that Frog Tony raid. Awesome. That's great, man. Thanks, Frog Tony. Appreciate it. That's awesome. Transylvania Jack, my man. Shout out. Glad you're here. Frog Tony, my man. Thanks, guys. That's very cool. Hey, Jeremy. How's it going? Mikey says to Frog Tony, I've been here a while. F your live streams with ads. LOL. That's funny, man. Alpha Channel, powerful, bro. Those words, comic books and goose, those words from Rand have strength in their truth, 100%. The truth always seems to stick to the wall when the bullshit slides off, 100%. Comic books and goose, that's for sure. That's for sure. Art says, yeah, the teacher had just gone over explaining that Muslims don't want him drawn and why. I put some serious thought into it and decided I needed to draw him right then. That's awesome, Art. That was awesome. Very, very cool. Transylvanian Jack. It goes against their narrative that people are willing to leave Islam. Yep, absolutely right. Because in their mind, if you left, you never really were a Muslim. It's like, yeah. And again, I never ever claimed to be a devout Muslim. I'm glad I wasn't. I'm glad my parents weren't. I lucked out in the sense that they were very passive Muslims. But as I always say, the Jew hatred, the misogyny, hardcore. The hatred of Christians, Christe, the hatred of freedom, of the outsiders, of everyone outside the family. Ugly. And the more you observed it, I think the worse you were as a human being. Mikey says, that's why I love CG. Creative freedom is what art is all about, 100%. It was what arts are all about, 100%. There's nothing we are doing here that we don't want to do. We don't have anyone in our ear, anyone trying to water down what we're doing. Nothing. And that could be seen as bad sometimes because you want to make sure that you have enough quality control in your own, self, that you are your own best editor also. Sometimes people aren't their best editors. I remember in the 70s, late 70s, Shooter was talking about that, and he said, no more writer editors. No more. It's hilarious because he knew what they were up to. They were leaving himself off the hook of having the standards that he thought they should have had. It's very funny, man. Thanks a lot, Trevor. Link to Pigman comic. Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Thanks, guys. It seems like you like the Muhammad magazine. I called them out publicly also. They became real pussies. And again, when you got Mad magazine and they're not going after Muhammad or Islam, you guys are full of shit. You're supposed to be, again, the edgy, the mad guys. Come on, guys. People were revealed by 9/11, revealed by the Charlie Hebdo massacre. And even me with the... I mentioned it, guys, on Shanth's channel. I'll mention it here again if you weren't there. 2015, after the... maybe it was 2016 at this point. Maybe. It was... the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund had a publication called... what was it called? Defender, I think. And this particular issue had a theme called, it was called Cartoonists Under Fire. Okay? cartoonists under fire. I was a card-carrying member of the CBLDF. I used to go to their booths, get stuff, and here and there, and Dennis Kitchen. He was my agent for a while, and I was all okay. Good guys, you guys are for free speech, right? You're for defending cartoonists if they get in the way of the law and whatever with their good. Um, they ignored me, a cartoonist who was literally under fire, to talk about other artists who were not under fire. You don't put a goddamn publication out there, cartoonists under fire, don't have me there. You don't do that unless you're a communist piece of shit who hates my politics. So I called out Charles Brownstein publicly. He tried to wiggle out of it like a rat, and now he's been Me Too'd out of the whole thing, by the way. They took a hit, the CBLDF. The CBLDF. I was pissed. I said, fuck you. I said, it's one thing. You deal with this shit, you deal with the death threats and all this stuff, and then you deal with your own, allegedly, your own kind, cartoonists, freedom, right? And they just say, let's just pretend he doesn't exist. Let's talk about cartoonists under fire who were not really under fire in any way. He was actually literally under fire, and he gets death threats, and he almost died. Let's just pretend he doesn't exist. And he goes, yeah, we mentioned it in not on that issue, on another issue. I said, you don't put I said, you knew the situation. It doesn't matter. You hate my politics. That's your problem, bitch. That's not my problem. That's yours. So that was it. I threw in my card. I told him, I said, I was a card carrying member for years, a decade at least, paying my dues and trying to support it. I said, never again. You guys are full of shit. You guys are communists. That's what you are. You're not free speech guys at all. And I told that Dennis about it. He didn't like it. He did not like it. He understood my anger over it. And again, where was Frank Miller then? I know he don't like me either. I guess because he knows about me. He pretends I don't exist. Where's he on that? Instead of saying, whoa, guys, come on, at least at least give him his due. I mean, that did happen. Don't pretend it didn't happen. You're about free speech, right? I guess not. Let me read this and get back to you guys. Art and sense of life. Art is the indispensable medium for the communication of a moral ideal. This does not mean that art is a substitute for a philosophical thought. Without a conceptual theory of ethics, an artist would not be able to successfully to concretize an image of the ideal. But without the assistance of art, ethics remains in a position of theoretical engineering. Art is the model builder. It's amazing stuff, man. It is important to stress, however, that even though moral values are inextricably involved in art, they are involved only as a consequence, not as a causal determinant. The primary focus of art is metaphysical, not ethical. Art is not the handmaiden of morality. Its basic purpose is not to educate, to reform, or to advocate anything. The concretization of a moral ideal is not a textbook on how to become one. The basic purpose of art is not to teach, but to show, to hold up to man a concretized image of his nature and his place in the universe. Any metaphysical issue will necessarily have enormous influence on man's conduct and therefore on his ethics. And since every work of art has a theme, whether you're conscious of it or not, artists, it will necessarily convey some conclusion, some message to its audience. But that influence and that message are only secondary consequences. Art is not the means to any didactic end. This is the difference between a work of art and a morality play or a propaganda poster. The greater a work of art, the more profoundly universal its theme. Art is not the means of literal transcription. This is the difference between a work of art and a news story or a photograph. Let me see 1 second here. And again, maybe someone could come in here, and I'm just going to devil's advocate against me here. Okay, well, Bosch, you're doing this explicit thing against Islam, and it's very, concrete here. Hey, post 9/11, there was nothing else I could possibly do. And even in terms of Ayn Rand herself, who are the villains in Ayn Rand's novels? If you haven't read them, but if you did, you know what they are. Who are they? What are they? socialists, communists, explicitly some of them, at least in the Fountainhead, Ellsworth Toohey. Um, Evil ideologies got to be, taken on, and art is a great way to do it. And it's an interesting way to do it also the way I did, with the character, the Albanian Muslim background, who creates pigment within the story, echo each other's story, a more extreme version of the battle between the brothers and so on. And getting a lot packed in there. Um, and I even got compliments from, leftists, believe it or not, Rich Johnston from Bleeding Cool. He said, I thought it was going to be a worthless something, but it's not. It's good, reluctantly said so. Another guy also, it was a Seattle paper, um, and they hate me, they hate my politics, but they said this is a pretty complex, interesting story, and they resent the explicit nature of it. But I think it's important. And again, post 9/11, it came to a head. It's like, okay, my background came to the forefront of my life. I said, okay, I got to respond here. How do I do that? Superhero, yes. Pigman, ex-Muslim, pigskin leather. And then I said, okay, he kills him, fine. I love that aspect, but I need more meat. I said, okay, how about if I make a story about the cartoonist who creates the comic book, and so on and so on. So um, it's interesting, and these passages from Rand just make me think about these things. The psychoepistemology of art. As a recreation of reality, a work of art has to be representational. Its freedom of stylization is limited by the requirement of intelligibility. If it does not represent an intelligible subject, it ceases to be art. That'll last for sure. There's only a few more here. Okay, good. So, what are the valid forms of art and why these? The proper forms of art present a selective recreation of reality in terms needed by man's cognitive faculty, which includes his entity perceiving senses and thus assists the integration of the various elements of a conceptual consciousness. Sorry, one second. In terms of propaganda, right? When Rand was railing against that, my work has been called propaganda by people who haven't read it, and even people who I think have. What my work is a counter propaganda. The Islamic enemy is all about propaganda and killing and terrorism. But propaganda is a major, major, major aspect of what they do. And this story, in a lot of ways, is to counter that propaganda, to tell the truth. That's what it's for. And so, yeah, it's not just, I think Frank Miller was talking about, like, we need more propaganda comics. And I was like, nah, Frank. It's not a good thing, propaganda. You counter the propaganda with the truth, with an engaging story. You counter it. That's the whole thing. And you need to make it entertaining as hell. You have to. For yourself to keep going, and especially for the reader to keep going. Because you don't want to bash them over the head. Again, guys, it's one of the greatest compliments I ever got for my work was by Daniel Greenfield, the greatest review I've ever gotten. It's on my website, boschfalls.com. It's in a blog area. Check it out. It's a link to it. He says something along the lines of, I'm taking on the religion, the politics of it all, everything. And he goes, it's tough to do that. And he pulls it off. Arguably one of the greatest compliments I think I've ever gotten from my work, because it's truly, what do you call it? Juggling. You have to juggle this big time. And we keep in mind on the ball, though. It's like, okay, whatever else, this is, however much truth I want to put in here, however much I want to expose this enemy, I got to make it integrated within the story and make it engaging, entertaining, and strong and impactful, and through the writing and through the art. Let me finish, guys, 1 second. So, literature deals with concepts, the visual arts with sight and touch, music with hearing. Each art fulfills the function of bringing man's concepts to the perceptual level of his consciousness and allowing him to grasp them directly as if they were percepts. The performing arts are a means of further concretization. The different branches of art serve to unify man's consciousness and offer him a coherent view of existence. Whether that view is true or false is not an aesthetic matter. The crucially aesthetic matter is psychoepistemological, the integration of a conceptual consciousness. Art and cognition. Art, including literature, is the barometer of a culture. Now, this is particularly important here. Art, including literature, is the barometer of a culture. It reflects the sum of a society's deepest philosophical values, not its professed notions and slogans, but its actual view of man and of existence. And that tells us right now that we're in deep shit right now. But that does not mean that we can't have still individuals producing great art. Like whatever is happening in Hollywood, I'm still very interested in what Christopher Nolan is doing. I'm still interested in watching the movies that he makes. You know, he's like an offshoot. He's something that doesn't sway with what's happening. You know, he's a great filmmaker, even though Tenet, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. That shit sucked. Flat out sucked. He probably had an idea in mind that execution, if he had a compelling actor, maybe, because John David Washington sucks. He's not a good actor. He's not compelling at all. Doesn't have a great presence. Doesn't have a great build. Doesn't have a great voice. It's unfortunately it's Denzel Washington's son, but he's not good. If you put Denzel Washington there, it would have been 10 times better. It would have changed the nature of the story maybe because he's an older man, but still, it would have been 10 times better. Use Denzel Washington, not his son, who's not great. Anyway, it could have, if Tom Hardy was in the lead, it could have done it. If Robert Pattinson was the main character instead of the sidekick, maybe it would have worked. It just didn't work. But here's my comic book guys, Pigman. If you haven't gotten it, please do consider taking a look at it. I have a 9-page preview. I have 5 different covers here, guys. I have a number of rewards here. Index card drawings. I got you can get all 5 covers at once. You get the digital copies. You can get the Pigman T-shirt, which again is these are the Twin Towers, and like a ribbon to commemorate something. September 11th, September 11th, and also 9/11, and then these 2 dents make a 3 here. Flight 93, and also 1993, the first attack on the Twin Towers, and then of course a traditional S like a Superman, and a capitalist pig. Of course, that's one or two of them weren't consciously intended, but that's what I pulled out of it. It's a simple design, but it means a lot to me and to the character, and that's why it is as it is. So yeah, guys, do consider backing out. I would really appreciate your support. You want to see the Islamic enemy get it in an entertaining way, I gotta say. It's hard, it's violent, it's funny. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. Here's the split page between the brother story here. It's black gutters, and then the Pigman. So that's one page. Going from the brother story, the twin brother story, to the Pigman story. More of a traditional gutter, white, and little lines like this. I get a kick out of personally. Pigman jumps off a cliff, and the jihadists who were wanting to suicide bomb off the cliff jump off as well. And he goes, "Madmen, misogynists dying and killing for 72 women, only in Islam." He goes, "Damn." So they blow up his grappling gun, the wire from it. I also have these. I have panels here with comic book conventions, TV shows, courtroom scenes of the battle of ideas going on with enemies who are trying to drain Killian Duke of his wealth or of whatever money he has to make him incapable of doing Pigman and so on. And then there's a panel about post 9/11 comics, which it's funny because there were really no real post 9/11 comics in a sense where no one really took on Islam. It was me, and then Frank Miller took on in a half-assed way, and Holy Terry took on Al Qaeda. Um, but that's it. It's like there was a Potential one that was supposed to come out that Chuck Dixon was supposed to do for that one comic book, Alessi. I forgot the name of the company, but there was supposed to be a comic book against jihad, and it never came out. It never came out. The company didn't have the balls to push through. Fuck what anyone was saying, what the industry, what communists and Muslims were saying. To hell with them. Release it. Michael Alessi, I think it was his name. Anyway, the point here is that there's a comic book panel, 4 or 5 pages of a battle of ideas between Killian Duke, communist, a Catholic, and a Muslim. And the Catholic here is the worst kind, in a sense where it's the guy who wants to have, you know, the ecumenical aspect, right? Where all religions are equal, all of them are good, all that. Yeah, sure. So he has this really fruity superhero group of a Christian, a Jew, and a Muslim, and their arms are wrapped around each other. He wears green, he wears yellow, he wears blue. The ecumen, you know. And then you got another one, a Muslim America with an Islamic America, and you have this one by this communist, love at first fight, uh, Israeli soldier and a Palestinian terrorist. You know, of course he would do that. This leftist communist, and then you got Pigman by Killian Duke. So these things are fun. The battle of ideas here, and then you have also my first book, graphic novel. I was asked to make it part of my campaign, and I did happily, and I'm very happy I did it because I want it back in print, and I will get it back in print, and also original art and Pigman commission as well. So guys, this is a story. Um, Here is the most popular cover. It is Pigman in war paint, and that's jihadist blood. The war paint is jihadist blood, and that's the most, I guess, dramatic cover that people got. I'm very happy because I do love how it came out. It's right behind me, guys. You see it? I made a canvas of it. It's probably the most striking image of Pigman. And here's another cover, and also it's a little late, but it's fine. Here's Pigman in his full glory. It's the first full shot of Pigman in the comic, facing down Osama bin Laden in his pigskin leather. And again, guys, he wears pigskin in order to exploit the Islamic enemy's bigotry. I've said it 1,000 times. I will continue to say it. I always get a kick out of it. It was a eureka moment for me because, believe it or not, I had an early image of Pigman, pink mask. No, man, no. And then I thought, pigskin leather, that rust orange look, tanned. Of course, of course. And given the American flag there, it's a big belt buckle, and it means something in the story. You'll find out. And he also sometimes he kicks them to death as well with the pigskin leather boots. Sometimes takes that belt off and whoosh, whips jihad. And not only does it have the Twin Towers on his chest with a ribbon around it, he has the Pentagon with a scar for the 184 people who were murdered on that day as well at the Pentagon. I know it's a government building. People are like, yeah, there were innocent Americans who were slaughtered by these savages. And then people say, oh, there was no plane there. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh, the Jews did it. Yeah. So you celebrate it as Muslims and you blame the Jews. And those, again, guys, when I say communists, Muslims, and those who might as well be, I'm talking about those allegedly on the right who are the most dishonest, the most dishonest scum who do not see individuals. They are collectivists. They belong on the left. They're freaks. They don't belong on the right. And then I got this image also, which John Malin owns the original art for this. I made it a little more narrow for this cover to fit in. He got that, and John said that one thing after I showed my first trailer. He said, "Pigman is the most important comic book in Comicsgate," and they said it again on his own show after he got the original art. That means a lot, man. It means a lot. Whether it is or not, for John to say that, it means a lot, and especially from what he was saying, meaning about it. Like, this is not just this could get me killed, basically. I remember this one, the very concept of pigman made a leftist who didn't read it, by the way, write me and tell me this is why I won't feel bad when we all die in a nuclear holocaust. This is why I won't feel bad when we all die in a nuclear holocaust. That is, I don't know. I mean, it blew me away. I used it as a blurb on issue 2 of my old Pigman comic, uh, the infidel, the featuring Pigman. It was on the top blurb, and I remember me and Robert Spencer were going back and forth about who has worse blurbs. I said, my man Robert, Bobby, uh, well, you have this guy tell you Allah will rip your spine out and put it back in, and rip it out and put it back in, which he did. He used it as a blurb. I said, that's only on you. This person is saying that you're the reason why, meaning me, Boss Frost and Cartoonist, is the reason why they won't feel bad when we all die in a nuclear holocaust. So I said, my man, I got you beat. And we had a good laugh about it. Pretty funny. But yeah, that's my pitch, guys. Appreciate your time. I'm going to go read your comments now, go back and forth with you guys until we close out tonight. But yeah, this is a line, guys, which I mentioned before. They've come to kill us and we'll die for it. And that's the tweet I made after we survived the jihadist attack. And I said, they came to kill us and died for it. Justice. And some newspapers had that as a headline, and some newspapers actually called me out for that. As if that was a bad thing to say. It's like, what? That's a good thing. And then also some newspapers, the New York Times decided to mention something about that. And they had a whole editorial page response to the Garland attack, to my winning the cartoon. And in the end, they decided that it wasn't free speech. We weren't there for free speech. They decided, And then also people said that we were suicidal. We couldn't wait to die. We were itching to die. It's like, it's unbelievable, the things you read about yourself. And then the Daily Beast wrote this whole horrifically dishonest piece about me. Incredible. They got every detail wrong. It's unbelievable. I really, really learned firsthand how corrupt and dishonest, we always knew they lie and all that, but firsthand, the Wall Street Journal interviews me. The guy says, where do you live? I said, America. No, come on. I said, what? I said, why the fuck would I tell you where I live? I live in America. And he took that to mean that I was so terrified. I was on the run and I was in hiding at that point. That was the actual title. And I went to publicly. I said, this guy asked me where I am. I didn't tell him. And he took the opportunity to use that against me and say, I'm on the run. I said, I'm still John Muhammad. I'm still doing interviews. I'm still out there. It's unbelievable. So the dishonesty was overwhelming. It was incredible. And then the what was it? The SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, decided to make me a one-man hate group. They designated me a one-man hate group, literally, me. They had all these groups, and they had me in there, and then they also had Daniel Greenfield. And then they put Majid Nawaz on there, and he sued them for $3 million, and he won. And looking back, I should have done that. I don't think along those lines. I just don't. I had a good laugh about it. I was, impressed. I was like, guys, I'm a one-man hate group, It was fun. But it's evil on their part. I mean, I had a laugh about it and all that, but they're putting more of a target on me in the sense where they're saying, this guy's dangerous. A guy who just survived a jihadist attack, a cartoonist who gets death threats, who has to live his life in a certain different way now, is a threat, according to this evil communist rat fuck group. And so there's a part of me that it's enraged about it, and a part of me that laughs at it. It's the left, man. I mean, and I'm gonna challenge this one guy who said something yesterday. One guy from the Lotus Eaters. I checked out on them after October 7th. They were absolute pieces of shit on the issue, and whatever value they had was gone from me because I called them out publicly. Also, they were supposed to read my comic, by the way, and they were supposed to review it. That they never did, but they said that's not our war. It's like fuck you. Same enemy that's going after all of us. That's all of our war. Just because you don't like Jews or hate Jews, that doesn't make them not the same enemy that that we face. But anyway, one of the guys said this. He goes, "We are a world that's at war with itself. The West is at war with itself." No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not at war with ourselves. We have enemies within that are at war with our country. They have power and influence that they should not have. Why? Because those who were supposed to defend us against this internal threat never did. They allowed them to fester, to grow, to take over institutions over and over again across our country. Um, Let me read you something quick. One second, guys. I have this. I have this daily calendar with these quotes from the Atlas Society, and this is one of them. And this is Ayn Rand. She spoke at the House Un-American Activities, the committee, and spoke out against the communization of Hollywood, and therefore the further communization of America. And she says the purpose of the communists in Hollywood is to corrupt our moral premises by introducing small, casual bits of propaganda into innocent stories, thus making people absorb the basic premises of collectivism by indirection and implication. Um, Others could probably say, well, that's free speech. It's like, no, no. We have an enemy within who hates this country, hates it at its core. And they want to present themselves as loving the country, as supporting the Constitution when they despise it. They want to take it over, and they got to be fought. And we've done a lousy job of doing that, those on the right as a group. A lousy job. And Rand was speaking about this almost 100 years ago. It's only gotten worse. So this idea that we're fighting ourselves, no, we have an enemy within that we haven't yet faced down. From the Islamic enemy, they want to Islamize the world. The communist enemy wants to communize the world. We have two major threats. And then these fuckers on X pretend it's Israel, this tiny country who's trying to survive against the savages around it. That's our greatest threat. That's an evil that has to be fought. And that's why I discuss it as much as I do. And I know some in the chat, not here, but sometimes on the Ethan's channel, they try to question me and you work for Mossad and stuff. And how about the dancing Israelis? Fuck you, you fucking scumbags. We saw on 9/11, we saw the Palestinians, quote unquote, which is not a real people, by the way. It's not. It's a fiction. Dancing, celebrating, eating candy, throwing candy in the air, shooting in the air, celebrating as if something great happened. That's who was dancing. The quote unquote Palestinians. And then even Muslims call it the dancing Israelis, and then they blame Israel. It's like, okay, you guys celebrate 9/11, and then, but Jews did it, so you're celebrating Jews? What? We know, which one is it? Let me go read some more comments, guys. Join you guys there, and then let's pull this up here. Keep my man Pigman there. Okay. Okay, guys, got a number of comments here. Very, very cool. Thanks for engaging, guys. Appreciate it. I was going on for a bit, but I just want to go back with you guys here. Smash that subscribe. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Guys, again, no more super chats here, but you guys can support me if you want. Back Pigman, please. Go to my store, boschfalls.com. Look at number of things you could do there. You could also donate there as well if you're interested. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Mucky, true laughter is a powerful tool. Indeed, it is. True laughter, exactly right. The involuntary laughter. You don't might even not want to. You can't help it. That's a great laugh. Um, Mikey says Muslims and all religions really have no sense of humor. Well, I think Muslims are the worst about it. I drew, Jesus and I drew Moses, and maybe some Christians didn't like it, but that's about it. Um, I draw Muhammad and they want to murder me. So it's a big difference. Trevor says edgy, quote unquote, unless it's controversial. Mad has not had a controversial take since Ronald Reagan. Yeah, it's so bad, man. Such pussies. Thanks, grumpy old ninja. Appreciate it. If you guys can subscribe, I would really appreciate it if you're here. And thanks for Frog Tony. Appreciate it. Also, Transylvanian Jack. Thanks, man. Thanks for sending some people here. I appreciate it, guys. Um, Grumpy old ninja says, "I'm not so sure it's Jesus he found, Bosch." Um, it's funny. I know what you mean. It's like also one thing, guys, is it either or? You find Jesus, let's say he did, and then you let go of Comicsgate. I don't know what the. I think most Comicsgate kings and most comic skaters are Christians, as far as I know. Um, I'm not. I'm an atheist, ex-Muslim, but the point is, you can. And again, I just want to thank Ethan here. He's not listening, but not only does he have me on part of the Kings, but he shows that the introduction with me showing my Muhammad cartoon book. That's ballsy. I appreciate the hell out of it. It's a funny guitar riff. And it's just cool. Very, very cool. Mikey Getz says, make sure to get a copy of Pigman, guys. Don't be henpecked. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. That's right. You wise might not like it, but, when it comes to that, tell them to go to hell, with all due respect. Say, honey, I love you, but never tell me what to get or not to get in comics. Just don't do that. Trevor Nielsen, art is not the means to any didactic end. Are you listening, mainstream? Absolutely right. And that's the thing. And again, I will, because I know that I've gotten that. It's just pure propaganda. It's not. It's counter propaganda. If anything, if I were to put it into any form, like quick thing propaganda, no, it's counter propaganda. I'm telling the truth about a major threat, and I'm trying to do it as entertaining a way as I possibly can. Transylvanian Jack says, satire and mockery has to be allowed. It is the one tool people have against authority. 100%. That's when you have a pretty healthy culture, when that is allowed and flourishes and is commonplace. Satire, mockery, absolutely. Parody, and so on. A culture doesn't have that. It's in danger. Look at China. Look at Islamic hellholes. And then also one thing, guys, in terms of Israel, I just had this thought. There's almost 2 million Muslims in Israel. If there's a quote unquote genocide going on, couldn't they get to them first before they went to quote unquote Palestine and so on? The only thing, they're the same shit as my family, though. Those almost 2 million Muslims in Israel, those Israeli Muslims, same shit. They might be decent. They don't speak out against the savages and for Israel. My family doesn't speak out against jihad, and they're Muslim, they're passive Muslims. They don't speak out against it. So it's a dirty passivity. It's dirty because they know they're part of something rotten. I don't give a fuck what they pretend. They are part of something rotten. Art says to Jack, that's exactly why Muslims won't allow it. They want authoritarianism. Yeah. The first two people that Muhammad killed when he went back to Mecca was a writer and a poet. Why? Because they had the power of the word. They mocked him. And again, he tried to kill the laughter. Literally kill it. In a lot of ways he did. It's spread out to our world, where it's still shocking to draw Muhammad. And part of me, again, I want to mainstream it to the point of it becomes so commonplace. I've drawn him so many times that, I get less death threats now, because I think from their perspective, like, I don't think this guy's gonna stop. He's been doing it for 20 years. I don't think he's gonna stop. We just got to kill him. You know, Th- their quote unquote thinking. Um, Comic Books and Who says, Bosch, I think your capacity to perceive truth would have broken whatever ideological mind control was placed on you in your upbringing. That's a thing, Comic Books and Goods. I always love truth. Always, always love truth. And I can't say exactly what it was, but I think it was the absence of it growing up in those around me. And that's why I think there was no hard break against Islam when I said, oh, there was a horrific attack and I just left. No, it wasn't that. It was the accumulated tiny lies that built and built and built to become big lies and so on from all those around me. The dishonesty it takes to be a Muslim, you know, that's the thing. And then also, again, I've heard Ethan also put down the idea that people get their morality from comics. Hey man, I gotta say, that was a place where I started. Um, Seeing heroes do good for goodness sake, seeing them be honest, seeing things that I was not seeing in my life around me. Um, that played a big time factor because it's like I went from superheroes to me the greatest heroes ever, which is Ayn Rand's characters, from Howard Brooke to all the characters in Atlas Shrugged, the Supermind characters, the Supermind characters. Um, but I still love superheroes. It's not like okay, I graduated from that. No, I still love superheroes. But the point is that yeah, I went from there to Ayn Rand's philosophy. And again, I noted this in my speech after I won the Muhammad Cartoon Contest. I said I was raised by the most misogynistic, Jew-hating religion on earth, and I went to a philosophy created by a woman of Jewish descent. You know, it's funny. Um, it's ironic, unlike what Everett July said about Everett July had another fuck up with the printing, and I guess Image had a fuck up too. And he goes, ironic. That's not ironic. That's not ironic. It's hilarious, man. So funny. Some of the things you hear, man. So yeah, thanks, comic books and goods Bosch. I think your capacity to perceive truth would have broken whatever illogical mind control was placed on you in your upbringing. I was rebellious, I gotta say, looking back, I definitely was. I always ask questions. Always ask questions. That was a no-no. I got my ass kicked for it sometimes also. My father was a brutal guy. But I had to ask these questions. Why? Why that? Why? Why was like that was fighting words, asking why. Yes, yes, Trevor. Trevor says Charles Brown Stain absolutely was always a piece of shit. Always. I'll have to tell you my story about him one day. He's a yellow bat coward. I'd love to hear it, Trevor. No doubt about it. Maybe we could talk at one point soon. I'd like to hear it because he was an arrogant piece of shit. I remember that. Um, Fancying himself the master of the universe, of that little clique that he had, where he was in touch with these great legends, and I guess abusing his position as well. Um, but yeah, he was such a rat about that issue. Cartoonist under fire, and I was not overlooked. Again, I was not overlooked. Again, Frank Miller knew about what happened to me and didn't contact me or nothing. He knew. He knew of me through his girlfriend. He knew me through Batten, and of course through the culture at large. You think he missed my appearance on the Daily Show? No. A few years before that? I don't think so. To him, I'm probably competition. That's it. That guy is trying to do stuff that, edgy, whatever that I thought that I was, because he was referred to as the most controversial cartoonist on earth a few years ago. I was like, what the fuck? Frank Miller? Where? How? Where? For all his virtue, controversial? Not really. Where? Because he had some stupid curses in the Batman comic that were seen when they weren't supposed to be seen. Give me a break. Mikey, I respect Bosch the most and CG for his principles. Well, that means a lot, Mikey. Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's all I can say to that. I like to move on from extravagant compliments. I do. I'm called a lot of things sometimes, and I'm like, thank you, but but then again, I do keeps in mind also whenever I go too high or too low, meaning I've had times where people have called me these extravagant names, and I knew it was a matter of time before they called me that piece of shit, which they end up doing, you know, whatever reasons. That's just what it is. It's funny. It's not because I became a piece of shit. It's because something that they think that I didn't say or do that they thought I should, type thing. There's always expectations involved, always. And it's funny. You fail to meet expectations you never knew existed from people who never expressed them. Alpha Channel says it is interesting that courage and heroism is where comics and real life crossover. This is why the degradation of virtue in our cultural values is so hyper magnified here. Interesting, Alpha Channel, because again, this industry, this medium is about heroes. You love them. You got these people who do and say the things that very few do, and they were populated by people who were willing to say and do the things that others weren't willing to do, right? And create these incredible stories of heroism. And then you have this industry that's been taken over by the scum of the earth communists. And that's nothing less than what they are. They are communists. We like to fuck around and call them progressives. They call themselves progressives, guys. Enough of that bullshit. They call themselves liberals. These are communists. That's what they are. They're nihilists. They hate heroes. They hate heroism. They hate it. They're offended by it. That's why in the last 20, 30 years, you see the villains getting far more of a spotlight, far more of an understanding, far more of an appreciation. Why? Because you got the fucking villains making the comics now. That's why. And they relate to the villains. That's why. When you have a guy like that piece of shit from New York Times, Paul Krugman, has a real hate on for Ayn Rand. Why is that? Because you know why? Because let's just say he read her book. Let's just say he read Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead, right? Who did he relate to? Not the heroes, not even to the mediocrities. He related to the villains. And he'll never forgive Rand for making him self-conscious of that fact. Something about Ayn Rand, you cannot go unaffected by reading The Fountainhead. It's impossible. It's impossible. It deals with life in such a deep way that you cannot come out of it seeing yourself, the same, meaning you look at things a little differently, especially when you're young, when you're impressionable. But I think even when you're older, man, there was one woman, she read it at an older age, and she hated that she read it at an older age because she started having pangs of regret about her life. And I had to talk her down a little. I said, hey, man, you know, you are where you are and you know what you know, and that's it. And this is now. And if you feel some regret, don't let it overwhelm you. Um, but yeah, you cannot help but see yourself in those characters. And if you see yourself in the bad guys, you hate Rand because there's a vicious hatred against Rand. There's also something here like leftists in particular, they really hate Rand because they know that there are a lot of chumps on the right. Ayn Rand was not a chump. She was a champion for individualism in a way that no one has ever been, and also an opponent of collectivism, of communism, of socialism in a way that no one ever has. Her work is a complete, repudiation of that evil, of collectivism. And again, her villains. It's funny. You think about these things, and then you say them, and people are like, "Yeah, I never thought about that." But her villains are all socialists, all communists, all collectivists. They are. They are. They are. All the villains are. And again, she wasn't a little. It's there if you notice. It's there if you notice. Um, Atlas Shrugged a little less so, which is interesting because it became more philosophical, more Um, it's interesting, yeah, because Tui, the greatest villain in literature, going up against the greatest hero in literature, and then the greatest tragic hero, and so on, and the greatest foil, and so on. I mean, it's unbelievable stuff, man. I can talk about it for hours, but I don't want to give away anything there. I do recommend reading The Fountainhead, though, and then you'll figure out the rest and where to go. But The Fountainhead, first and foremost. Um, Interesting, Alpha Channel. Yeah, you struck that thought in me where the villains have been lifted above the heroes when the villains in the comic industry took over. And there is a story that I have in mind also, actually, guys, of the heroes and villains in the comic book industry, the heroes and villains in the comic book industry. And maybe it's worth telling that story. I won't be exactly concrete about it, but it'll be amalgamations of a few people in one and so on. People who represent, Will Eisner and Alex Toth and Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko and Frank Miller and John Buscema and Ramirez, and then of course the whole crew that came after the scumbags, and the Brits who came with their nihilism and tried to bring down us, bring us down a peg. I really believe that. I believe a guy like Alan Moore was out to degrade, to bring down the comic book. To deconstruct it means to basically bring it down, to break it down, and also bring it down. Because now you hear him now, he can't stand superheroes. He hates them. Well, he's a piece of shit, and he made his bones on superheroes, and then he rags on them. Uh, he couldn't wait. It's like the Man of Tomorrow, whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I can almost guarantee, and I will argue this. I'll never get a chance to talk to him about it, but I almost guarantee that he had that image of Superman crying in The Fortress of Solitude. Yeah, and wrote a story around that. He just couldn't wait to have him do that, like a Superman crying. That's the way I saw these guys. They never, their superheroes never lived up to American ones, and when they got their hands on them, they tried to diminish them. But that's a whole different thing. Um, Transylvanian Jack, art for art's sake, no propaganda. Absolutely. That's the thing, propaganda is also it's a dishonest thing. It's not it's trying to prop up some political ideology. That's not what I'm doing here. He has that big belt buckle. He represents the American ideal. He doesn't represent the U.S. government, that's for sure. U.S. government eventually goes after him. Um, that's a different story. But he represents America, not the weak horse, as Osama bin Laden called America. Remember, he called us the weak horse, and Pigman catches him and says, "America's not the weak horse. I'm America." You know. Absolutely, a Transmitting Jack. Art also has to challenge propaganda, 100%. And that's why, again, this is a counter propaganda. If you want to call it propaganda, okay, it's a counter propaganda against everything that they say and do. And again, to make it as engaging, as entertaining as I can, put myself in a story. Also, I mean, this is a power fantasy to some extent. I don't pretend it's not. It is. I don't hide that. I want to see this enemy get it, and if I can picture myself as Pigman doing it, why the hell not? Like I says, your show on Chance Waffle House ended up being one of my favorite streams. I had fun with y'all. Thanks, man. We had fun. I mean, it's always great to be with Shanth. We could definitely talk it up for a long time. It's great stuff, man. And we even, we'll even have it out about the failings of McFarlane and Liefeld and so on. You know, it's funny. That's where I'm not gonna bite my tongue about those things. I know that John and you always love these guys. I can't stand them. And again, McFarlane, I really loved his Hulk. I really did. I did not like his Spider-Man at all. His Spawn, but Liefeld, nothing of his was good. Nothing. The average amateur in comics is better than him. Better. Al Milgram blew him away. I mean, it's true. he had a better grasp of story at least, you know. Um, Flutterbat, nah, I give up on the movie industry a long time ago. Until they get the comedies out, we're never gonna have good movies again, and I don't think that'll ever happen. It will, Flutterbat. I think it will. It has to happen. I mean, it has to be some kind of. It's not just this, the woke bullshit that they. Oh, woke is dead. It's like, see, it's a misunderstanding of the whole thing. That's why an idiot like James Lindsay can say the woke right. That bitch got kicked out of the left. He's butthurt about it, and he's resentful of the fact that he's on the right. He's relegated to being on the right. So he's like, if we don't do what he wants, woke right, woke right. The dummy, he knows better. He's just trying to create something that doesn't exist. And they, someone asks, "Is the woke right getting worse?" What's the woke right? It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's not. You know, there are people on the right who are collectivists. They're not. They don't belong on the right. They're not for individualism. Not for individual liberty. They're collectivists. They belong on the left. They're not the woke right. Woke means left. To call the woke right is to say the left right. It's retarded. It's stupid. But eventually, it has to happen. Flutterbat, and you can't have. Again, you have to clean house at a point where you cannot have. We know now that it's full of commies. They had the veneer of not being obviously so for years. It's obvious now. They're going to crash and burn now because it's so obvious. Everyone knows it now. No one wants to be part of it. Like, nah, you guys have chosen this evil side. You're corrupting every single last movie with your evil ideology, and it's collapsing. It absolutely is collapsing. The theaters are nowhere near the movies they're making every year. Nowhere near the number of shows and streaming shows they're making. Nowhere near half, at least. That's dangerous for an industry. And the only thing that can make it come back is talent. Talent. And talent that will not be denied, meaning, fuck, this guy's not a communist, but hey, man, we want to stay in business. We got to hire them, and so on. So it's going to have to collapse. And then it's a medium that exists. It's a medium that people love. Movies. We love movies. We love art. So it's going to survive. It's going to come back at least. We just can't stand the communists making their shit. It's all propaganda all the time. Comics and movies, video games even now, corrupting it. Comic books and movies, propaganda is often used as low-grade in mind control, while the high-grade stuff, mind control, uses trauma, abuse, and isolation. Interesting. Yeah. You're talking about the evil stuff that they use in there. The more creative communists. Yeah. Because they can do real damage there. They can get into the emotions. They can make bad people sympathetic. Even like the Sopranos. You'll have Tony Soprano, who's a monster, but then you'll have Richie and you'll have Ralphie, who are worse than him, and he's made to look okay by comparison and so on. That's they're being manipulative, but it works. It does, and it's, again, regardless of what you think about the Sopranos and the subject matter, it's just great writing, great acting, and so on. And the humor is organic and real, and that's why it's genuinely funny. It's within the characters, within what they say and do, and it's generally funny. It's not a comedy, but it's a goddamn funny show. Art says, I've lost interest in Nolan. He can keep his DEI odyssey. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's funny. He did put in a few things. He put in, what's her name? What's his name? The girl turned guy. So silly, man. So silly. We'll see. But we don't know where he stands politically, and if you don't know where someone stands politically, they're usually not a leftist. But he is in Hollywood. He does work with studios, so who knows? It's like Henry Cavill. We don't know where he stands, and therefore we know where he doesn't stand. If we don't know where he stands, he doesn't stand on the left. And that's why he's probably not getting the work that he should be getting. Which is tragic for him and for moviegoers. You want to see that guy do well. You want to see him in really good movies. Thanks, grumpy old ninja. Kentaro. Best war paint. Appreciate it. Mikey says, I backed the Val cover for the Twin Towers. Hits home more. Thanks, man. I like how that came out as well. Transylvanian Jack, propaganda is my favorite phrase. LOL. It's funny, man. I thought of that for that one book. It was a collection of all these posters that I did on my blog while I was studying Islam and jihad, and for years. I wanted to at least throw something out there while I was doing it instead of the comic, just some images of a pigman taking on jihad. And I use elements of that in the story as well. Some taken more or less right out of there. Um, propaganda. It's fun. Grumpy old ninja Kantaro. What happened in 9/11 was America getting attacked from within using zealots as puppets. All evil. You actually don't believe that that the U.S. government was involved with the jihadists. I hope you don't, because that's just bullshit. It's that's pure propaganda from anti-government hacks. Because these guys have their own motivation. Guys, the Islamic enemy was here before America, before Israel. They were slaughtering millions before us. They existed here for long, long before us, and they're still at it. And it's our ineptitude, it's our evil representatives who allowed that threat to fester, to grow, and to get to the point where they can pull off that attack because they don't give a fuck to protect us. That's why it happened. This idea that we could have stopped it no matter what, Israel could have stopped that. There are holes that these guys can go through. There are things that they can pull off. They're savages. They're always on the move, and we're asleep at times. They never sleep. They're always dreaming of wiping us out. So, thought about a nuclear holocaust that they are causing with their far left commie Nazi BS. Good gosh, the hypocrisy of these shitbags never ceases to amaze. Well, that's for sure. I don't know an exact concrete point that you're making there, but in general, I do agree with that. Trevor says, you need a t-shirt that says one man hate group. Hilarious. If there's demand, sure. I mean, most of my t-shirts were made through people asking me to make them. B Worm, brother, we love you. Keep fighting the good fight. Very kind. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. We have infiltration. Indeed we do. And again, that's why when the guy from the Lotus Eater says we're at war with ourselves, no, dummy. No. There's an enemy within who's at war with us. And we're not acknowledging that. That's part of the problem. That we even think that they're us. They're not us. They're them. They're a separate entity. They hate us. They're working to subvert the country and the West at large. Comic Books and Good says, I've been seeing your recurring viewers and growing with these streams. You leaning into hot potato subject matter will make growing a battle, but you constantly come out swinging. Don't give up. Never Comic Books and Goods. And that's the thing, I think you speak about things that you want to speak about. You don't go for algorithm. I hear some of the kings sometimes talk about, well, the people don't like talking about comics. I don't give a fuck. With all due respect to you guys, I love talking about comics. And I'll talk about philosophy and politics and religion and art and this and that. The point is, though, I'm going to still do streams about comics. I don't care if it's not, as popular. I don't care. I have to be engaged myself. I got to be interested in my own show. I have to be. And if it interests you guys, awesome. If it interests you, awesome. So yeah, it's like it might be a crude way to put it, but it's true. It's like I'm gonna be led by you guys. It's like if you guys ask me to do you guys can definitely recommend topics, and I will definitely consider them. Yes, but if you tell me I don't like these comic reviews, too bad. I love doing them. I love the give and take with with you guys. Grumpy old ninja Kantaro says Israel has its own inner enemy, but they and us are not enemies. Well, that's for sure. Their own enemy, the inner enemy, are the communists within Israel as well. The communists within India, who are going against, basically their own well-being and so on. But again, it's not us. I don't see the left as us. They're not Americans. They're anti-Americans. This idea that they're fellow Americans, they're not. They don't see themselves as such. And then you got idiots who actually tell me, but they don't see themselves as communists. I said, first of all, they are communists. Just because they don't tell us that they are. They don't want to tell us until it's too late. Muslims don't want to tell us that they're for jihad until it's too late. You know, they gotta keep it close to the vest. They know that they cannot be explicit with their explicit desires, or else we can start to wake up and stop them. They always want to pretend that Islam means peace and that we are just progressives. We're for, progress. No, they're for gutting America of everything that made it American and wiping us up from within and taking over and turning into this hellhole that they want. And again, it's also this matter of what they believe that they deserve themselves. They don't deserve a good country. They don't deserve freedom. They are scum and they deserve the worst. That's also part of it. John Port says, Pigman looks great. The story's awesome. Worth the backing 100%. Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. You've been a great supporter of Pigman. Thank you very much, man. Always appreciated. Spambot, the human sunbeam hears all. It's hilarious. Flutterbat, as a Christian, I'd actually love to see you draw a picture of Jesus. You're an amazing artist, so I'm sure it would look beautiful. I have drawn Jesus a number of times, Flutterbat, and the only complaints I got was his eye color, this and that. It was always kind, though. It was always a point of, the criticism was just something that was liked. Again, it doesn't matter how you draw Muhammad. It's that you draw him. That's the crime, quote unquote crime. Grumpy old ninja Kentaro says, in this narrative, Jimmy is replacing line. Oh yeah, sorry. In this narrative, Jimmy's replacing one problem with another, one he doesn't want. Don't mess with God. It doesn't give well. By that, I think what you mean is he's using God now as something, and he's having videos of using it. That's his thing now. I guess that's his grift. I don't know. I mean, why? As far as I know, he was a committed Comicsgate artist. I mean, he was a committed cartoonist. He was in Comicsgate Kings. He messaged us on the Kings thing and said something like, I can no longer be part of this, guys. I found Jesus or something. I don't know. Born again Christians. George Bush was a born again Christian. That's why he couldn't fight this enemy, because in his mind, religion good, Islam good. These must be a small minority of extremists, retarded, B. Worm says, you mentioned the infamous dancing Israelis trope, an old conspiracy theory that refuses to die no matter how often it is among. That's the thing, B. Worm. Some people still give the benefit of the doubt to Muslims, like, well, they don't know better. It's like, no, they know. They know they're lying. I know, personally, Muslims in my life who lied like they breathed. And they knew they were lying. We don't give them the benefit of the doubt. They know they're lying about Israel. There are useful idiots, yes. But the ones out there, the leaders, quote unquote, they know they're lying. And again, there are idiots out there. I will cop to that. It's like, yeah, there are. There are idiots on the right as well, where no matter what Trump does, when he goes and pals around with our enemies in the Islamic world, like, you're great. It's like, you guys were just saying that foreign entanglement is bad, but now it's great because he's with Qatar and the Saudis. All of a sudden, that's great. How's that great? And I thought your reason for not, because they try to put an umbrella reason for saying they're not for Israel, like no more foreign, nothing, no more foreign involvement. It's like, you guys didn't say that about Qatar or the Saudis at all. So it's bullshit. Mike Getz says, they turn the other cheek like Catholics do with the pedo priests. I know. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible stain. It absolutely is. It's a real thing, too. It's not just this lie. It's actually real. And I remember Hollywood, though, those whores made that movie Spotlight. All right, all well and good, right? You took on the pedophilia in the Catholic Church. Okay, next target, Islamic pedophilia, and Hollywood pedophilia, and Washington and politics, right? Right? Oh no, just The Catholic Church. I see. So you're not. It's not that you really despise pedophilia and want to fight it. It's just that you want to use that excuse to bring down an institution that you hate. That's all. So that's a. It's like those going after Israel and not going after the 57 Islamic hellholes. They're pussies. It's not that they hate this and that. They're pussies, is what they are. They hate the good for being the good. They love the evil for being the evil. Um, B Worm says to Mikey, yes, no true Christian does that, and Bible does not condone it. Jesus literally death sentenced pedophiles. Jesus protects kids. Muhammad preys on one's a savior, one's. I don't think Mikey is saying that it's part and parcel of the religion itself, but it is, you know, something that does happen within the followers. It absolutely is an epidemic. You know, it absolutely is, and it's terrible. And it's the part of it is the celibacy imposed on these priests, and also finding a runaround. Like you got homosexuals going into the Catholic Church and making the most of it. Unfortunately, Grumpy Old Ninja Kentaro, exactly about Faust. The MCU was ruined because the villains started writing the stories. 100%. That's exactly right. Absolutely translating Jack. Alan Moore despises heroism 100%. The two most closest, you know, and again, he was holding back because he wanted to try to diminish the heroism of even the heroic characters in there. Dr. Manhattan is a impotent pussy who walks around, I don't know if human life means anything anymore. He's a piece of shit character. And the only ones with any heart, any balls, he kills in the opening and at the end. The comedian and Rorschach, bookended by the murder of two right-wingers by the left-wing Alan Moore. You know. And why did Manhattan kill him? Why did he give a fuck? He said he didn't give a fuck for humanity anymore, right? He's going to murder a guy in cold blood. Why? To cover up the truth? Why? I thought you don't care. And then you cared because you found out the story from the Silk Spectre or something like that? No. No. You cared enough to go back, but that doesn't mean that you're going to maintain it now. And then what does he do? He leaves anyway. It's like, oh, so you cared enough for that moment to kill Rorschach, and then you basically said, all right, I'm out. It's like, so why'd you do that? If you don't give a fuck for the earth or what happens or people find out the truth, why'd you leave then right away after anyway? I mean, what an asshole. He couldn't resist the urge to put down the comedian, a right-wing perverted version of Captain America, and Rorschach, a perverted version of Mr. A and the Question, down. He couldn't wait to put them down. And they're the most compelling. Of course, Rorschach is the best, and then the comedian is second, and then the rest, whatever. Weaker and weaker. But, you know, his purpose was to bring down Ditko, bring down Ayn Rand, bring down objectivism, bring down heroism. And the dumb fuck bombed because he's a good enough writer where he had to be a little honest about the true nature of Rorschach, of Mr. A, and the Question. So therefore, he's the most compelling character, naturally. Because he has to make him recognizably as Mr. A, and it's those things that make him recognizable to make him worthwhile, make him a worthwhile character, especially when he's put up against these shit characters who suck. Grumpy Old Ninja Kantaro says communists can't handle her. They hate her enough to want to kill her. I lost the context there, Grumpy. If you could just follow up on that. Mikey gets, I hate Brian Azzarello. He has a quote, I think Lex Luthor is right, Superman is an alien and we shouldn't trust him. It shows in his stories too. Terrible. Disgusting. Absolutely right. Ugh. It's so shitty. What a shit view. What a nihilistic view also. But they do relate to Lex Luthor. But also it's like you guys aren't smart though. That's the whole thing. You know, he's smart. If you were smart, you would know that Superman's the hero. And he's the villain, and he's a piece of shit who's envious. Terrible. I hope, at least from what I gather, I think the new Luthor will be an evil guy, and will be an envious and all that. And You can't control it. Good. I hope that is the case. Trevor says, I read it later myself. Batten bought me a copy of The Fountainhead when we had a conversation in the studio one day. I do regret not discovering her earlier, but wonder if I would be as receptive. That's a thing, Trevor. You don't know, right? Um, you don't know. I saw the movie. I thought about the movie after. I thought it was interesting. I was, a teen, but I thought it was interesting. And then I spoke to someone about the movie. We were talking about old movies, and I said there was one movie called The Fountainhead. Gary Cooper. It was something about that movie. It was compelling as hell, but I couldn't quite pinpoint it here and there. And I was young, inarticulate. And she goes, "You will love the book." And I never had someone tell me that I will love something. So next day she came to me. She handled it. It was her 1960s copy. By the time I was done, it fell apart. I apologized to her. I got her a new copy, but still, she handed it to me as if it was gold, a bar of gold, and it sure as hell is. Yep, Transylvanian Jack. Look how Alan Moore talks about comics now. Exactly, and that's the truth right there. The way he's saying about it now is what he always felt, and it was clear in if you read it clearly, you understood. This guy hates heroes. He hates this medium. It's like, what's he doing here? He's bringing down the idea, a concept of superheroes, and making them quote unquote human and rapists and liars and cheats and murderers. Like what a piece of shit. It's like it's exhausting, that kind of nihilism. And I could still, and the only thing that holds it up, the only spine that it has, is a character that he despised. You know, one second, please. Those of you who haven't seen this, let me show you. I have this on my shelf, and it's incredibly done. Beautiful job. These guys, every part of it is just fantastic. This is number 866 of 1,000. Look at this. Look how beautiful it is. And it's just a compelling character. And again, it's in your face, Alan Moore, you piece of shit. You try to bring it down, and because you're a good writer, were able to do this. So I also have this right next to him on my shelf. There are moments there, I think issue 6, so on, which make the story compelling as hell. When Rorschach talks about his origin, when he has the prison break and what he does there and says there, he makes the cracks against that guy with those funny puns. It's hilarious. And then also when he tells the whole world, tells all his fellow heroes, "You're joking. The people must know. No, this cannot go unstated. No, people must know." That's he was the conscience of the entire book. And again, Moore try to bring him down, make him ugly. And again, the question, Vic Sage, red hair like Howard Rourke, tall guy, handsome, right? In Moore's version, a guy who wears lifts. Moore made sure that we knew that because the cops, he wears lifts. He's ugly, he's short, redhead, to diminish. Howard Rourke, Vic Sage, that's the purpose there. And the dumb fuck, it's hilarious. Because again, if he had to make him at all recognizable to an Ayn Rand character, to a Steve Ditko character, he had to be honest about it for us to recognize him as such. But it's that recognition that we notice and make him good. Because we recognize him, oh yeah, that's based on that. I remember my cousin, who knew nothing about the Watchmen, my Muslim cousin, 2010, watches it, calls me up right after. Hey man, that's you. Ah, that's you. Rorschach. That's hilarious. Um, I took it as a compliment. I don't think he meant it as a compliment though, but it is funny. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja Kentaro says Alan Moore tried to destroy comics through Watchmen, and it was his greatest failure because Rorschach is awesome. Absolutely. He's an iconic character. And again, we know where he came from. We know what his purpose was, but it doesn't matter. He fucked up, and it's awesome that he did. And every time he opens his trap right now, he's a nasty poison coming out of his fucking rat hole. Disgusting. A bitter bitch. Um, I think he resents the fact that he's known mainly for Watchmen. He hates that. You know, it's like he thought, I'm bringing down comics. Nah, bitch. He probably despises when a comic movie makes $1 billion. Probably hates it. Um, yep. Yep. Grumpy Old Ninja Kentaro. Superman is America, as Donner said. Absolutely. I mean, you needed a guy like Donner. There's something there also. Donner, it's not by accident that he made movies with Mel Gibson over and over again. He's a right wing guy, Donner. He's right wing. He understood America, and he made a hell of a movie. Hell of a movie. Flutterbat Tom King is another commie that makes me sick. Disgusting. Ugh. Ethan showed a post one time from him where he was mocking a guy online he hated for obvious reasons who had lost his dog he had for almost 20 years. Huh. That guy's a piece of shit. He should be ashamed for saying he worked for the CIA. But he thinks that's his calling card. It's like, bitch, you should be ashamed. What? That tells us why your stories are so bad. You're a corrupt piece of shit who worked for a corrupt agency. You're a communist and you suck. And it's very gay that you had Bane and Batman fighting naked. Why? What the fuck was that about? I mean, Mist 999. Trust me, woke is never dead. This is deeper than people in normie vile can ever understand. I agree. I can't stand when they say woke is dead. It's just stupid people who don't understand the war here. Again, communists have been around for a few centuries now, and they try to make different masks. We're woke. We're progressives. We're liberal. This and that. It's the same shit always. It's collectivism. It's National Socialism. Hitler. National Socialist. National Socialist. Again and again and again and again and again. Never let them tell you different. Leftists have been trying to throw him to the right for 7 years. Fuck you guys. He's yours. He's yours. And even idiots on the right. No, he's a right winger. You're dumb. That's why. Because you're stupid. You follow a National Socialist. Yeah, but that's like right wing socialism. It's like the woke right. It's the same thing. Right wing socialism. No, there's no such thing. It's collectivism. It's on the left. It's totalitarianism. You don't have liberty. Countries that are leaning towards liberty and freedom and free speech who do what the Nazis did. You don't. There's nothing right wing about them. Tell me the right wing dictatorships right now. Tell me. Tell me. They're all leftist, and that includes the Islamic states. They're all leftist as well. Totalitarianism is on the left. Freedom, liberty is all to the right. In the middle, that's where you get the fucked up middle ground. The poisonous, corrupt, anarchy, even the conservatives who want to control things as well. It's all in that dirty middle. That's a bad place to be, and that's where they say the quote unquote woke right. No, they're left leaning people. They are collectivists. All racists are collectivists. You cannot be a racist and be a liberty loving person who loves individualism. You cannot be on the right. Spambot says, Mikey gets the last movie I saw at the theater was the first Joker. I can't really talk about certain things, but it was something I saw. Not for my reasons, but that's a different story. Comics are just too easy to make these days. They're they're never going away. The big companies could die, but only because of all the best artists can just make money on their own. Yeah, I mean there is that. It is could be a one man machine too. I mean, I write pencil, ink, letter, color, publish, ship all my stuff. Grumpy Old Ninja Guitars. The last one I saw was Battle Angel. I remember that. It wasn't bad. I'm out on Nolan. Two guys were out on Nolan. I'm still going to give him the benefit of the doubt and check it out. Tenet was bad, but not the government boss false, and just people who hate America. Evil is everywhere. It shouldn't be. That's for sure. Culturally, I mean, definitely not just government, for sure. Transylvanian Jack. Muslims were always against the West. Always. Transylvanian Jack. This idea that this is a modern thing is like, give me a break. Grumpy Old Ninja. Yes, it's in Muslim eschatology that the Muslims are the bad guys. Look at the last Imam's resume. Grumpy Old Ninja. There is evil seeking to destroy freedom, and it's older than Islam. Islam is a great engine for it, though. Well, that's the whole thing. It's you got all these forms of good and evil across the centuries. It's not by accident that God and devil is good and evil. That's what it is. God and devil, good and evil. And evil has been around for long before Islam, long before other things as well. But they're forms of that evil, organized forms of that evil. Islam, communism, National socialism, all these great evils, and millions of people, millions are dead in the face of that. And still to this day, you have chumps in the West talking up ideologies that murder millions and want to murder billions. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja, nothing wrong with talking about all those topics. Absolutely not. Grumpy Old Ninja. I think it's again, we want to we have our freedom. Let's use it, and also don't be ruled by the algorithm. Captured show hosts and such. Well, the audiences want that. Again, you guys can sometimes direct me a certain way. Oh, you know what? Okay, yeah, I'd like to do that. Maybe, Bosh, can you watch a movie? Maybe and we'll discuss after. I'm like, I'm not crazy about it, but maybe we'll see and from there and so on, and maybe review a certain comic. But direct me not to talk about something, impossible. I just don't try that, guys, just in case, if some of you have that in mind. Um, Mist 999 said, Nolan blew it with Oppenheimer. What I saw messages in that film was legacy tarnishing and unforgivable. I think it had to do with the nature of Oppenheimer himself, Mist 999. I think he had a complex background. He did have alliances and friendships with communists. He did. And I think Nolan didn't want to cover that up to make him some American icon that he wasn't. He was a very troubled guy, very troubled. Um, and I think gave benefit of the doubt to too many people and too many things. Um, Mikey says, I can talk comics all day. I can only do it in the chats. People in my real life don't care. LOL. Same here. Same here. Well, there are not many real people in my real life anyway, so I have friends, but they're scattered around the country and the world. Um, Personal friends. Flutterbat, I was referring to the email you said you received with a leftist idiot telling you this is why he'll be okay. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's outrageous. Exactly. Communists are not American. They are everywhere in every government working to destroy America, the final bastion of freedom. That's the thing. I don't. People tend to say, well, these Americans that guys call them what they are. They're anti-American communists. We cannot give them the benefit of the doubt. We cannot give them something that they don't even want. They don't want to be called American. But again, they'll call themselves American and they'll pretend that they love the country and they'll pretend that they're saving it from Trump and all this stuff in order to subvert it and destroy it. They want to redefine what America is. When leftists start invoking the Constitution, they're in deep shit. They're in deep shit. They hate the Constitution with a passion. When they start invoking it, they're in trouble. And that's a good thing. You always want them on their heels, always want them on the defense. This way they can't be destroying us as much as they want. So we got to keep it on them, keep it on them, keep it on them. Um, Drawing Muhammad that all is sacrilege to them, these men who fear women. Yep. And they do. They are pussies, these guys. Uh, Physics lab. It's so people don't start worshiping Muhammad's image. Islam is against any form of idolatry. Yeah, that's fine and all, but once they murder human beings for drawing Muhammad, who gives a fuck what the reason they have? And it's also a lie in this sense, where the Shiite Muslims were drawing Muhammad for centuries. So it's not as forbidden as they claim. It's not. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja Qatar says, I'm a Christian and I couldn't disagree with George Bush or Jimmy Moore about any of this. And I couldn't disagree with George Bush. Yep. That guy was a piece of shit. I mean, he was. Islam is peace. What? No. Don't worry about what Islam is anyway, dummy. You're just a dumb politician. Send our boys out to wipe out this enemy. Whatever needs to be done. Give them the green light. You get the green light, guys. Whatever you gotta do, end this threat. And then we want to talk about Islam, let's let the intellectuals talk about it. Who aren't talking about it, by the way, who are not. They sold us out as well. But the point is that he's a dumb politician. He has no right to say anything about what Islam means or doesn't mean. He don't know shit. Grumpy Old Ninja Qatar says there's idolatry throughout Islam, though not as much as Hinduism. Well, guys, in their reaction to mom cartoons, that's idolatry. Do you understand? They're murdering to allegedly not show him because he means that much to them, because they are idolaters of Muhammad. That's the point. B Worm says, what is the actual earliest writing of Muhammad? Does anyone know? Well, the word is that according to Robert Spencer, who's written, I think, 2 books now questioning the very existence of Muhammad, the word about Muhammad started to get out 100 to 200 years after the idea that he was supposedly active and living. So the guy might not even have existed. It might have been just a gang of Arabs who, in their mind, wanted to get in on the religion racket and said, okay, let's get our own prophet, a god, religion, but let's retain all of the things that we do. We sack these, ships. We sack these caravans, and we will still kill. So it's the same ship, but now we have a religious cloak over it, huh? That's probably what happened. And then whenever Muslims, like even Grok, that piece of shit Grok, it's been compromised, corrupted. Elon has to get back on the ball. He really does. He's been letting spread too thin. Grok is here telling us that, yeah, Aisha was 6, and when they got married, 9 when raped her, the way I see it. But some Islamic sources say she was 18, and they're liars. Everyone knows who studied Islam that he married her when she was 6 and raped her when she was 9. And they had no problem with that. When it hits the modern world, they're like, shit, we can't fool these guys if we got to pretend that she was 18. So we can get Islam right past them. That's the whole thinking. They're like, they won't go for it if we tell them the truth that she was 6 and then 9. So let's say she's 18. They always have to lie. Always. B Worm, what is the actual earliest drawing of Muhammad history? I don't know, B Worm, but it must have been the Shiites, because again, they did it, and it was the Shiites and the Sunnis. They broke. They were formed after the great grandson of Muhammad, grandson Ali. When there was an idea, okay, are we going to go with the bloodline of Muhammad, or the greatest leader, right? and Muslims killed his grandfather. Muslims killed Muhammad's grandson, and that's what broke off what became Shiite Muslims and the Sunni Muslims. The Shiites are the Iranians, the Sunnis are the Saudis and others. More Sunnis, even Albanians. My family from Albania, they were 70% were the Sunni Muslims, 10% were Catholic, and then the others were atheists, communists. But the point is, that's where the break happened. And Pigman talks about it actually in this Ashura Day. Ashura Day is every year Shiite Muslims slice their bodies, slice their heads, slice whatever they can to try to feel Ali's pain, right? After he's murdered. And Pigman is talking to his Israeli friend in the issue, and he goes, there was a pack of Hezbollah rats who were celebrating Ashura Day. And I told him, no, guys, you can't, you got to go all the way. Meaning, you want to really honor Ali? Let me show you how. He goes down there and kills them all. He's relaying a story to him. But you got alleyways now in Queens, New York, of these savage Shiite Muslims slicing their heads, slicing their bodies, and sometimes they slice a little too deeply. And why do they do that? And for the same reason that they do the prayer scars. You know the prayer scars that Muslims have? If you don't know, Muslims put their heads in the carpet, right? And sometimes the ones really want to be ostentatious Muslims. They want to prove that they're more dedicated. It's such a physical religion. It's such a non-spiritual religion. Everything is of this earth. It really is. Why did they want to get to heaven? To bang these women. That's a very earthly thing. It's a very earthly idea. So they put their head in the carpet as hard as they can, and they end up to build this little scar, and it grows. And what was I saying about? Okay, so the Shiite Muslims want to prove that they're in support of Ali, his terrible death, right? And that's what broke off the Muslim the sects into Shiite and Sunnis, and they killed themselves by accident But the accident is because they're cutting too deep, and they look at the next guy like, oh yeah, watch this, I'll go deeper than you, and they kill themselves because they're retarded, and it's unbelievable, the retardation that this religion, inculcates in its followers. And then, of course, then you have the families, first cousins, and even brothers and sisters having sex and having retards, and retardation of the like Pakistan is very common. First cousin marry, very, very, very common. And then if you can't find a first cousin marry, this is true. The brides of the Quran. Ibn Warq wrote a book called Why I Am Not a Muslim, and he's from Pakistan, so he was talking about the brides of the Quran. Sometimes you get these things that are country-based, sometimes not necessarily Islam-based, but it's the atmospherics of Islam which lead to that. So what happens is that if they don't find a first cousin married, these females, they marry the Quran. They marry the Quran. And they have to stay indoors at all times, and sometimes they get sick because they get no sun, no vitamin D. And the first thing I thought was, well, at least it won't beat them. At least the Quran won't beat them, But anyway. Grumpy old ninja Kantar says, don't let the Turkish president, quote, fool you with his claims about the last time that cross went against a crescent. The guy's a piece of shit. I mean, he really is. And Turkey was the least bad of them in a lot of ways. Why? Because it has one foothold in Europe still, it still had that pedigree. But this guy is nothing but make it worse and worse. And this guy also, Erdogan, he was Obama's favorite leader, favorite world leader. Of course he was. And then you got Erdogan praising Hitler. Of course you praise him, bitch. Of course that's your favorite leader. You are fellow, Muslims and socialists. I mean, Obama was born to a Muslim father, raised by a Muslim father, went to Quran class in Indonesia from 6 to 10, and what happened? He's an apostate, has to be killed. How can an apostate not be killed by Muslims, especially if he's famous? What's going on here? Who is he? It's a whole story here, you know. He's a communist Muslim. He's a Muslim, you know, whatever. I think he's an atheist, pretend to be a Christian with a hard spot for Islam. Um, but anyway, Grumpy Old Ninja Guitar says Dr. Manhattan is the worst character in Watchmen. He's an Alan Moore self-insert. LOL, 100% Alan Moore insert, self-insert, because Alan Moore fancies himself this genius, right? So he's like, if I had that power, what would I do? Huh. I look around me, ill, these humans, ill, and I'll just go on to Mars and, you know, really, really, really fruity. He's such an asshole character, too. And it's true, he sucked. It was like the worst possible version of a superhero. Alan Moore was like, I'm gonna clean him out of any character, any heart, any passion, anything. Yeah, that's my real dummy. Um, it's like he became an ideological Ville guardian about Dr. Manhattan. Um, yep, Grumpy Old Ninja Guitar, 100% Bosch, Boston. But Alan filled fantastically. He did. I love Rorschach and the comedian. Best characters in the book, hands down. Even though the comedian was, you know, really done dirty. Because think about this. I mean, I think the comedian is worse than Rorschach in terms of what he does. Why is that? Because Alan Moore was like, you know what? He had a hard on against Ayn Rand and Ditko and all that, right? But Captain America, you know, that's I really got to bring him down. So that's how I'll do it with a comedian. I got really got to bring him down. You know, terrible, terrible. Um, Mikey, yes, I like Dr. Manhattan more than comedian. He was a rapist. LOL. That's hilarious. But you know, again, was he a rapist? That's what Moore did. Meaning, it was again Moore trying to take a character, Captain America, make him the most perverted perversion possible, and still be accepted and acceptable to the original Silk Spectre, right? She loved him. Still, it was complicated type thing. And then when she finds out that that's her father, she loses it. And then the dumb Doc Manhattan, oh, huh, okay, interesting. I didn't expect that. Okay, maybe I'll go back and yeah, I get it, Mikey. But I should, I forgot about that right now. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I think it's funny you say that because I think Moore wanted also like I'm gonna make Captain America a rapist, and then Mark Millar did the same thing, similar to that, making him a rapist for one of the what was it called? I forgot the name. I'm glad actually. It was a obscene scene. Good. Maybe all the time. I'll remember it. Um, oh, I was talking about Ayn Rand, communist hater. Okay, hater very much. Yes, yes, yes. And they also not just hate her, they're worried about her. Grumpy old man, grumpy old ninja. They're worried about her because they know that ideologically speaking, there was no fear in Ayn Rand, no fear. And there shouldn't be any fear from objectivists, even though that's another story. I like certain objectivists, other ones, oof, that's another story. But the point is that um, one second. You said something here. Okay. They really hate her, but they fear her more than they hate her. They fear her big time because they know that her ideas could really take hold and really expose them for the evil that they are and have an actual fighting chance against them with better ideas than the conservatives have been able to muster, than the right wing has, than the Republicans have been able to muster. Republicans, in a lot of ways, I mean, they pose as good. A lot of them are pussies. They're not good enough to take on this evil. Um, they're not good enough to call them evil, first of all, and they're surely not good enough to fight them. That's where objectivism comes in. That's why Ayn Rand comes in, and that's why they fear her ideas big time, and the power also of her ideas that were, you know, made more powerful through the fiction. You know, it's one thing to have a philosophy in textbook form, right? Another another thing to have it in fictional characters and heroes in romantic novels. That's dangerous to them because they're like, fuck. I could really get into their mind and get into the heart and get into the emotions of the people who read it, and they'll become really tough to take on. So that's what they're afraid of. That in their mind, they're also thinking about about weaponization. Like, damn, Rand weaponized her philosophy in the form of these great heroes, and people that inspires people to fight evil, to fight us. Speaking as a left. Um, Transylvania Jack says the worst part is Rorschach was a journalist and got punished for finding out the truth. LOL. That's right. He was the one who jotted it all down. He wrote it in his journal over and over every single time. Even the last one when he sent it off to find out. He said it's Ozymandias. They figured that out before they went there. Grumpy old Ninja Kataro, he was a perverted version of Captain America. And yes, he was a rapist, but Dr. Manhattan was more evil in his discarding his own humanity. Yeah, and he was unwilling to give a damn to save humanity from the nuclear holocaust. And he could have stopped it like that. But he was like, nah, let me go to Mars. And no, that's it. It's like, ugh, terrible. I think Alan Moore's got to go to Mars. Just one-way ticket, right? Misty 99 and Grumpy Old Ninja, they dare not write him honestly any other way. To write such character without the safety they chose would be beyond career suicide. Interesting. That was a point. That was Alan Moore's message. Shut up and consume. That's right. It would have been truly brave, but they would never embrace Miss 999. Embrace that danger, or it would have been unpublishable by the world's standards. I do got to get going, guys, but thanks for all the give and take. Appreciate it. It's the first time I'm getting some thumbs down too. That's new and that's interesting because that means that more people are watching. So good. Because you're always going to get some haters in here, and I mean that. I got a good number of them, commies and Muslims especially, and some chumps who think they're on the right, but they're collectivist leftists anyway. You work for the Mossad. You work for the Mossad. It's like, okay. And also this idea where I'm being paid by Israel, right? It's like, okay, so I think you're confessing something about you and being paid, because it's like they always say that. It's like, I think you're being paid actually, and some of them are being paid actually, not by Israel. I'm talking about the Muslims. Qatar supposedly has 30 popular influencers on the right that they've been paying. We got to get to the bottom of it. Tucker Carlson, 100%. Candace Owens, Ian Carroll, Dave Smith, other rats, 100%. 100% getting paid. And Tucker Carlson lied. I'm not getting paid. Yes, you are, whore. You made a goddamn commercial. You cut a commercial for Qatar. You blow their leader, as you say, the greatest leader he's ever known. What a scumbag. Moscow, greater than any city in America. Lying rat. Some people in Moscow are like, what? That's a lie. We know that intimately. Yep, Grumpy Old Ninja. It's again, it's so funny. I have Watchmen. I have the special edition. I have the absolute edition. I have all this. It's not a fun read, but it is compelling as hell to read Rorschach. That's the key there. Without him, it's like without Jack Nicholson in terms of endearment, the movie collapses. He added that entertainment. He added that heart. He added that hard edge, and the movie's fine. But without Jack Nicholson there, it doesn't. It's not really worth watching. Rorschach, take him out of the Watchmen. It's nothing. It's nothing. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja says, agreed, completely awful. I generally hate Watchmen, but the Rorschach parts make me read it again. Same here. Spambob says, looks like a sturdy little sculpture. It is. It really is. It's rock solid. And it's heavy, man. It's actually heavy. It's heavy. 8 pounds? Is that possible? The way it feels right now, yeah, it could be. Grumpy old ninja Kintaro, they claim stunning and brave, but are incapable of being that. Comic books include Superman is all of our virtues with none of our weaknesses. He's actually good with while Lex Luthor is a great potential of man used for pettiness, cruelty, and greed. It's epic symbolism. It is. It's. I mean, there's a reason why Superman lasts. He's the best of humanity. He absolutely is. And you got stupid writers writing him a lot of the time. It really is a great Rorschach bust, a grumpy old ninja. It's fantastic. I love it. Not even in the face of Armageddon. I mean, what an immortal line that, again, why is that so great? Why does Rorschach have the best lines in the novel? Why? Because it's Alan Moore channeling someone who had a moral virtues, Ditko, and through Ditko, Rand. That's why. No one else had memorable lines like that. Nobody. Miss 999 says, yeah, Rorschach is truly one of those characters that hits an archetypal resonance beyond the text context. 100%. I mean, that's the thing. Because he imbues what Ayn Rand gave her characters, and therefore what Ditko was inspired by, because Ditko was an objectivist. He actually went to the MBI school in Manhattan. He went to the Nathaniel Branden Institute. He donated to the Ayn Rand Institute. He was an actual objectivist. So, Moore, being a good writer, had to be at least somewhat intellectually honest about who the character was. So he had to have elements about it, virtues about it, that he didn't see as virtues because he's stupid in that sense. He's stupid morally. He is a good writer, or else we wouldn't be talking about Rorschach right now. I wouldn't have gotten this bust. But and again, it's like I know people, yeah, but he's just a perverted version of it. Yeah, but it tells you about the nature of Ayn Rand and her philosophy and what inspired Ditko to create the question and Mr. A. It tells you the power of that. That even in a perverted way it comes to you, it's still powerful. It's still compelling, even if it comes to you in this form. That's power of ideas. That's exactly what Miss 99 was saying. Yeah, Rorschach is truly one of those characters that hits an archetypal resonance beyond the text context. Yep. And I do owe it to Ayn Rand and objectivism and her philosophy and Ditko being inspired by it. And therefore, more trying to pervert it, but unable to because ultimately it's like it's such a sound philosophy. And that dumb fuck called Ayn Rand's philosophy white supremacist. What a retard. I mean, absolutely retarded. The question is criminally underrated. Absolutely. God damn it. It was one of those dreams I had of getting my hands on it and trying to do Ditko's version, which would be Ayn Rand's version. It wouldn't be that hippie that goddamn Daniel Neal did with a mullet. My God, with the mysticism thrown in. Terrible. All right, guys. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it, man. You guys really came in here. Thanks, man. Thanks, Frog Tony and Transylvanian Jack. Appreciate it. He absolutely hates being known for the one thing he knows how to do. LOL, poor Alan. What a piece of shit. I drew him as a tombstone. His face as a tombstone, his hair as a grass, and his beard. And it was on his epitaph was, I hate superheroes. He actually said that explicitly. I think it was like 10 years ago. And then he repeated again like last time he spoke. It's like, okay, bitch, we hear you, but that's how you made your bones. That's how we know you. I know you hate it, but that's your problem, dummy. Yeah, well, Alan Moore is also known for that Brian Boland comic. That's funny. Yep. Killing Joke. I got the special edition for that as well. Absolute edition. They have two different versions: the original color in newsprint, and then the updated color. Mikey gets V for Vendetta movie is better than a comic to Fight Me. Yeah, it is, Mikey. I agree with that. The comic was a chore. The movie was at least entertaining in the way that the book wasn't. And there were aspects that were good. Hugo Weaving was great. Natalie Portman was fine. And all things considered, I'm not. People mistake me sometimes. They're like, yeah, but it praised Islam in there. I said, yeah, a piece of shit character did. So So what? It was the Wachowskis, I think, producing it, but it had elements that were good, and they did give a little, at least, feeling of a guy was fighting for freedom in his own crazy way, against this totalitarian the system. But I remember it was that gay actor, the tall guy, who said the beauty of the Quran. You had it under glass. It's pathetic, but I'm like, ugh. And then I move on and watch the rest of the movie without getting caught up into it. Oh my God, that's it. It's over. No, I can disassociate at times, even something like that. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja Kentaro said Donner left Lethal Weapon 5 to Mel Gibson. Mel might have to use his own money to finish it. I heard about that. He's been talking about it for a number of years now. Could be interesting. Old man um, Riggs and what was the name of Danny Glover's, that commie Glover's name? I forgot. That's fine because he's such a commie. It's like, ugh. The Lethal Weapon TV show was also good, a good actor, and then he got a run in with the actor who was playing Danny Glover's character and ended up failing. But the actor was good, and he ended up I think being somewhat canceled for being a problem on the set supposedly. I remember hearing about it. I sided with him from what I remember hearing. One of the Damon Wayans brothers, maybe Damon Wayans or someone, one of the Wayans brothers played that, and it looked like he was an asshole on the set, from what I heard. But that's a different story. Tom Grumpy Old Ninja says Tom King has to look very high up to see scum. That's how low he is. Absolutely right. That's right. Hilarious. Um, ha. B Worm says, Mikey, guess at this point you're saying things to gaslight about V for Vendetta. That's hilarious. Grumpy Old Ninja Kentaro. Tom King is the kind of writer Eric July loves. I don't know how he wound up with Chuck Dixon. It's true, isn't it? That's pretty funny. Mucky Bane is a metaphor for the bull in Tom King's real life. Hilarious. Grumpy Old Ninja says communists have been around since the Bolsheviks, but they have always been here. That is just them finally organizing. Yep. Yeah, I mean, look, man. They were here in one form or other. I mean, even from Plato to Aristotle. That's where that comes from. Also, there's something dirty about it. What he was promoting ends up being socialism, ends up being collectivism, ends up being something that is not good, clean, true. Um, I guess, oh, you're Professor X, you can read my mind. The comic's boring, and V is actual character in a movie, not some stupid symbol. Hilarious. Grumpy Old Ninja Kentaro, collectivism, socialism, Marxism, communism, and National Socialism. Don't forget that, which is called Nazism, which is not its name. They didn't call themselves Nazis or Nazism. They called National Socialism. That's what they were. The People's Party. They were the socialists. All its ideologies, just like Islam pretends not to be. Yep. And also in terms of this, guys, here's a little tip, if you want it. Whenever people come to you and say, no, not Nazis hated communists. They hate each other. They kill each other. They were allies. They were buddies. They were butt boys. They were, until they weren't. Because why? Because they want the power. Meaning, okay, we're brothers. We're socialists, right? Yeah, but I want to take you over. Let's use our ideology. No. I got my own. The Shiites and the Shiites and Sunnis, right? That's the connection there. When they say that the Nazis, quote, National Socialists, and communists hate each other, yes, the way the Shiites and Sunnis hate each other. They're brothers and sisters, but they want to rule with their version of Islam over that one. They want to rule with their version of socialism over that one. So that's the connection there. To me, it's the same shit. Grumpy Old Ninja says, no way I'm fighting you, Mikey. That's V for Vendetta as a movie is better than a comic. I totally agree. True. The same here. And the actual Watchmen movie was pretty good too, except for the gratuitous gore that stupidly Zack Snyder made for some reason in that restaurant with the gore, all the blood coming from the ceiling. Why? Stupid. If Dr. Manhattan zapped you, it probably wouldn't be any blood. But anyway, that's just his stupid shit. That looks cool. That's his whole thing. What looks cool? That didn't look cool. It looked stupid. But making it seem like Dr. Manhattan was responsible for those murders. That was a clever move. Whoever wrote it, it sure as hell couldn't have been, Zack Snyder. He's not that bright. Flutter Bastard says, people on the right side of thinking believe in equality. The left does not. So I have no clue how the alleged woke right thing got even started. LOL. Again, it's that dummy, James Lindsay, who is an arrogant piece of shit, who's an annoying, fucking obnoxious guy. I had my runners with him. He was talking about his idea is that liberalism is the answer. And it's like, bro, it got itself raped by communists and taken over. Okay, you guys are done. You guys are maybe hanging around the classical liberals. You call yourself classical liberals because you lost against communism. You had nothing in you to fight against it. Nothing. You were taken over like a. That's it. You were raped and taken over. You did nothing to stop it. Nothing. So I said, you guys have been subsumed by communists. You might, he was trying to clown me. He actually quote posted me. I went after him a few times. I said, you know what? I read his book, and the whole underlying thing is liberalism is the answer. Dummy, that's long gone. That form of liberalism, whatever you want to call it, it's gone. It's over. It's dead. It's been subsumed by communism, by the left. And he's the one who made up this woke right thing, by the way. He's trying to make it a thing, and you got some rats trying to do it too, but they're not as enthusiastic. He's trying to make it a thing, and it's not. Again, there's no such thing. Woke means left. There's no such thing as woke right. Left right? No. And again, he's butthurt because he's relegated to being on the right because he was rejected by the left for one thing or other. If there's one thing you deviate from them, they condemn you anyway. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta do something quick. That's fine, actually. Let me read this and then get going, guys. Grumpy old Ninja Guitar, and those chumps are in our Congress, Bosh, yes, and not all of them are Democrats, 100%. I mean, a lot of the Republican Party, they're not good. They are politicians, first and foremost. They're looking to get reelected, not looking to make any long-lasting changes. Absolutely not. They want the gravy train. They want it. It's rare that Mikey gets, but it happens, and I would argue that watching was the same as a movie, and a comic, despite the different endings in the TV show, was woke garbage. My God, that TV show! I think I saw 1 or 2 episodes. I was out. No, it's not. Grumpy old Ninja said, "No, it's not American trying to kill America. It's communist." Yeah, 100%. But again, it's some these chumps on the right. I can't stand them. We're at war with ourselves. You conflate yourself with communists? I don't. Why do you do that? Because there's something weak inside you. For you to relate to them and think that they're equals with you, that they're the same countrymen, like my countrymen. No, stupid, dumb. Mikey gets watch one movie was close enough. It'd be hard to pull off that giant squid alien thing on film. I don't think that would have been a problem. Mikey gets, especially with the modern thing. I just think it was a better idea to have to pin it on Dr. Manhattan. I thought it was a creative way, interesting way to do it for the story, for Ozymandias to actually think of that. You use him as the culprit. Yep, Grumpy old Ninja Katara. Leftists hate the U.S. Constitution but have no problem trying to twist it against America. Yep. And they also pretend that they're the defenders of America, which is a sickening thing. It's sickening. And some idiots on the right still think that, yeah, look, they're still fighting for America. It's like, what? They're on the other side. They're just we're one plane, and that we're on the right wing, and they're the left wing, and we're together. You're retarded. They want to crash the plane, dummy. They want to crash the plane into America. Muslim eschatology, the last imam for whom Muslims are waiting to will be loved by the whole. That's in the Shiite. That's what the Iranians believe. Be loved by the whole world without question. He will bring peace to the desert and usher a new era. Sound familiar yet? It's funny. Those are the credentials of the Antichrist. Believe in either or not. Just looking at scripture here. I hear you. And they ripped off a lot from the Jews and the Christians. Grumpy Old Ninja Couture. Aisha was 6 years old when Muhammad got her, and when she was 9 when he took her to bed for the first time. Yep, that is rape and child abuse. 100%. That's according to Islamic history, not Western history, Islamic history. And again, when they hit the modern world, they were like, ah, shit. They will, the alarm bells will go off if we try to sell that idea as normal. Let's say she's 18. That's why they did it. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja said, I can't stand any of their beliefs, and as they believe all things. Yep, they believe anything and everything, whatever they have to. They believe anything and everything is true. You cannot eat pork, but if you're dying, it's okay. Don't kill innocents, but kill them. It's like, okay. But then again, innocents, guys, in Islam are only Muslims. You are guilty until proven Muslim. That's another aspect. Yep, absolutely right. MBS, Mohammed bin Salman is a piece of human trash. They all are. All these leaders are, and they play guys like Trump. Trump likes to be loved. He likes to be, and he just doesn't care where he gets it from, which is a tragic flaw that he has. It's terrible. It's really bad. I couldn't stand when he went to the Islamic world and bullshit with them and embarrassed himself really. He also had a iftar dinner again at the White House. Why? He canceled the last time he was president. Why did he have it? I call him out at these things. I voted for him. I still would have voted for him, but these things are bad, man. There's nothing good to come out of it. Nothing. They are our enemies. If they had an edge on us, they would use it and hurt us. They would. If they could take us over, they would. You know, but Trump, again, he wants love from anyone. Doesn't give a fuck where he gets it. It's a tragic flaw. He likes to be liked. It's a terrible thing. You shouldn't give a fuck. You should be, if there's a choice in order, okay, I like to be liked by good people. He don't care. Huh. Like, yeah, I wish I was a fly on the wall at Bosch's when they made Miss Marvel. LOL. I've been railing against that for a long time, but it was it was a tragic thing because again, it was their real chance to try to mainstream Islam means peace in the comic book form and spread Islamic propaganda. That's what it was. And they lied left and right. Sana Amanat said she's not that religious, She's having the Hadith on the cover, not just the Quran, but the Hadith. That's a more of a serious Muslim. So she's lying to us completely. They're shoving this shit down our throat, and then they only let Muslims write her stories, from G. Willow Wilson to this piece of shit. I forgot his name. He's writing Daredevil. He's a communist Muslim, and they only allow with her. They say, okay, only Muslim. With Captain America, only communists. Okay, no patriots, only communists. Sorry, guys. I do got to skip a few here and there. I got to get going, but thanks, man. Thanks for all this give and take. Appreciate it, man. Miss 99 says, 999 says, it's very curious how pathologically destructive these Semitic religions are in their groupthink dimensions, like collective psychopathology gardens. I mean, that's the thing, all of them can be potentially dangerous, but we know which one is the most dangerous. And there's a reason why. You got a warlord prophet. You have a guy who committed evil acts, who beheaded 600 to 900 Jews from the Banu Qurayza tribe, beheaded them, an all-nighter, him and his boys. Grumpy Old Ninja, to me, wasn't the transition about the 72 versions proven incorrect but not addressed by Islam? The translation? Okay, there was a European writer who said it was about raisins, and I don't think it's true. I don't think you can motivate people with things like that and mistranslation. And you would think that, the way he got these people to commit these horrific things it was to try to give them something that they lacked when it came to sex, and also lush waters and green grass and all that, and wine that doesn't get you drunk, and you can eat anything you want and you don't digest anything and whatever. So I don't believe that's true, actually, because I don't think they could have motivated. And then also they added the boys as beautiful as pearls in the Quran as well for the gay Arabs who were in the area to inspire them to go up there, to go into paradise. It's hilarious. I forgot more than I ever knew, which is good because I got to get it out of my head. I overdid it with my study of Islam. I don't know a chapter and verse like Robert Spencer does. I don't want to know a chapter and verse. I knew far more than I need to know to tell this story because that's what the whole purpose of me studying Islam was. To get these characters right, to get in their heads and know how to defeat them, how to use Islam against them. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja said Islam was repackaged for American consumption, and sadly, it has worked. Yeah, it has. Yeah. The way one Grumpy Old Ninja said the way one uses to corrupt the beliefs does not make the belief into the corruption. All right, guys, I do got to skip some stuff and get going, but thank you, man. I do appreciate it. There'll come a time where I cannot read every comment, but I do appreciate all your give and take, guys. I really do. So I'm gonna skip a number of these things here. Grumpy Old Ninja said, yeah, Transylvanian Jack. I forgot Mark Millar is also is a subversive too. Mark Millar years ago mentioned something along the lines that he was a socialist, and now he's some kind of Catholic going to Catholic church, and he's some kind of maybe right winger. I don't know. He did some dirty shit in those comics back then. He really did. Um, he really did. Communism versus better ideas. Grumpy says communism versus better ideas always loses because everything is better than the communism. For sure. There's no contest. That's why they don't allow competition, ideological competition in their countries once they take over. It's all communism all the time. It's like the same thing with Islam. There is no coexistence with anything. Retards in the West want to coexist with those who want to wipe you out because they're retarded. Um, Grumpy Old Ninja Kantora says Ayn Rand did not fear these evil people. No, she didn't. McCarthy was right, absolutely, and he is even more so today, 100%. And again, you will have people on the right; they will concede. Well, he went too far. No, no, he didn't. He didn't go far enough. The point is that there were actual fire-breathing communists in our government and in Hollywood and across our culture. They were real, and this McCarthyism, that's a good thing. And the fact is, the rage with which they have from McCarthy means he was absolutely right. There was a major threat in here, and they've infiltrated our culture. They've taken over an entire political party in our country. That's a terrible thing. It's terrible. And people try to pass it off as an American party. No, it's not. It's an anti-American party. Thanks again, guys. I do got to get going, but appreciate it. This might be. I think I did a 4-hour stream once. This is close to 4 hours, but I do got to go. Um, Trevor says, Alan Moore on Mars. Why do you want to start shit with a Martian Bosch? Haven't you seen War of the Worlds? My God. He'd be taken out, though, by the Martians, right? If there weren't any. Like, this guy's boring us to death. Kill him. That's hilarious. Rorschach is the only relatable character, Mikey. Grumpy Old Ninja Kantara. Superman is better than all his writers, 100%. He's an amazing character, and people who find him boring don't understand him and read a bad Superman writer. 100% Grumpy, because it's like you got to step up, even if you're not. You got to step up to write Superman. A lot of people are not willing to. They want to bring him down to their level instead of them rise to his. It's a dirty thing that they do, but that's what all these leftist scum do. They cannot relate to zero, so I had to bring them down to their low level. Grumpy Old Ninja said Moore was unable to shut down Ditko and actually made him even more compelling and attractive. Yep, that's right. I know, Grumpy. I definitely can do that. I can do like a type of question character. I can definitely do that at some point. What I'm doing, Pigman, and the current project I'm doing, and some other ones that I have as well. Um, yep, a tombstone is all Alan Moore ever wanted to be for comics. Yep, he actually fancied himself the the death of comics. I mean, like he did. Ugly. Mikey Bosch is getting tired. Back Pigman. Thanks, man. I am getting a little tired. Uh, Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, guys, back Pigman. I would really, really appreciate it. It's at Fund My Comic. And back, support Fund My Comic as well. Those guys have been great. Um, uh, I don't know if any other platform would have accepted Pigman or kept it on there. I just don't think so. So on that alone, I think they should be rewarded as well, not just for mine, but for Tom Tuttle's comic also, and some others there as well. Um, Consider backing it. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Thanks, man. Good stuff here, guys. I just got it going. Trevor says, satisfy that comic itch. Buy Pigman. Absolutely, man. Back Pigman. Thanks, man. Happy's Funhouse. How do you feel about Republicans chumming up with Saudi Arabia? I hate it. Really, really worries me, especially because they seem to want to leave Israel for dead. Trump was being accused of being anti-Israel. I don't think he's ever been anti-Israel. I just think again he fancies himself this global businessman. He's wheeling and dealing. It's like you're not a businessman right now. You are the representative of the American people. You don't go pal around with the scum of the earth enemies of America. You don't do that. Where 15 of the 19 hijackers came from. You don't do that. What you do is you make them pay for that some way, somehow. Just because people would say, yeah, but why now? Because they never paid for it. They have to pay for it. It's terrible. Yes, it did. Ripped off Moses and Jesus, and absolutely. It's the last of the big three religions, the last one. That means they ripped off the first two, and they fancy themselves being the best one, and he's the final prophet and all that bullshit. She is horrible, grumpy. Son Amanat, she's disgusting. Piece of shit. She wears actual Yasser Arafat scarf, a terrorist scarf on her goddamn neck at conventions. That's a very hostile move, man. Very hostile. Um, Thank you, Alpha. Appreciate it. Yep, Flutterbat definitely concerning Trump's some bullshit that he's doing. Is like that's pure politician right there. He's not a politician. That's politician right there. That's a political whore what he's doing in the Islamic world with Qatar. He has that rat bastard Tucker Carlson in his ear, who's been bought and paid for. So he's trying to soften up, and also he's trying to get us away from Israel, our actual friend. I don't give a fuck if no one here even believes that they are our friend. They are. We share the same values as them. We don't share the values with these savages. Even the best of them is still shit. Um, Thanks, Mikey. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it, guys. It's been a good time chatting with you tonight, Bosch. As always, guys, then you will speak your mind on anything is refreshing. That you will speak your mind on anything is refreshing. I don't know any other way to go about it, And again, it's got me in trouble. It's got me almost worse than just trouble. But hey, man, this is life. You got to lay it on the line. Lay it on the line. Um, I appreciate you guys. You guys really came through here. That's awesome. All right, guys. Thanks, man. Take care, be well. And again, please consider backing Pigman. I would really appreciate your support. I need your support. I want this out there in a big way. I really do. I want to, go hard into issue 2. So thank you very much, guys. Back Pigman. I got a backer live here. Thank you very much, guys. Always appreciate it, man. That is so cool. Mikey, Trevor, thanks for putting the links, and thanks to whoever got it. Thank you very much, man. Always appreciate it. Every single backer counts. It's 100% true. Every single last one. So thank you very much, man. Guys, take care. Be well. Until next time. Thank you, man. Take care. Be well. Thank you.